Well, a very good afternoon to you and welcome to Blauwhuis here in Friesland in the north of Holland. We are live from the Kingsbattle. We've already had some races here this morning, lots of races to get through, and we've already had Formula 1 heat number 1, Formula 2 heat number 2. We've had junior Formula 2s as well, more about those later on, and some of the local classes as well, the FAC 1600s, the rodeos, and as you saw there, as we just went to air, the standards, which are actually a visiting class here this weekend. As I say, this weekend. It's easy to think that we're in a weekend, but of course it is a midweek holiday here in the Netherlands. It's for the King's birthday, the King's Battle, and what happened is that tagged a Wednesday evening meeting to make it a sort of a speed weekend, if to use an English term, in the middle of the week. And it certainly paid off dividends. Lots and lots of cars here at Blauwhuis this week. We had close on 50 Formula 2 stock cars racing yesterday evening. We had over 50 Formula 1 stock cars racing, and plenty in the other classes as well. There is some UK interest in both the Formula 1 stock cars and the Formula 2 stock cars. If you are watching over there in the UK, we'll be seeing those on track. And of course last night it was a UK success as Craig Finnegan won the Formula 1 stock car final. Dave Polly in the Formula 2 stock cars, he finished 4th in the feature final. Slightly different format this afternoon for the Formula 1s and the Formula 2s. Last night it was the traditional British format of half-car heats, consolation, qualifying for the final, and we had a Grand National to round out the night as well. Today, they are split in half in the same usual fashion, but it is points on those two heats determining who qualifies for the final. So if you don't have a good day, you do end up just having the two races this afternoon. But then, of course, it is qualifiers only for the final. Same applies for the Formula 1 stock cars and the Formula 2 stock cars. So far this afternoon, Formula 2-wise, the first heat was won by local yellow grader Martin van der Waal, who we have seen race in the UK. He raced in the Formula 2 World Final as long ago as 2011 back in Kings Lynn, so he knows what he's doing. Certainly looked somewhat ungraded off the yellow, it must be said. And the Formula 1 stock car heat, well, that came down to an absolutely dramatic conclusion. We might get footage later on. It's a shame that we weren't live at that point. It was a dramatic conclusion because the race winner was Rick Wobbers in 14, but it didn't look like he was going to win. It was 195 of Harman Swerver, who we've seen racing in the UK on many an occasion, both on the shale tracks and also on the tarmac tracks. He thought that Ron Krunder which was usually it might be the case, but Ron Krunder had gone out in a tangle and had merely unlapped himself, but Harman thought that Ron Krunder was the race leader, went in with a big last bend lunge on Ron Krunder. They both went wide, Krunder spun, and Rick Wobbers came through on the inside and won. So a bit of a case of mistaken identity there for Harman Swerver in 195. It would be unusual that Ron Krunder in 217 would be a lap behind, but he had gone out in a tangle. And of course, Ron Krunder, he did win the King of the Dirt last year, but not a good heat for him so far this afternoon. He ended up a lap down, so well down in the points. He's going to have a very good second heat, I would say. So as you can see, cars just going back from the first one there for the standards. Next up, it is the second heat for the Formula 2 stock cars. It is the second half of the cars. Then we get the second half of the Formula 1 stock cars. Then we go back to the junior Formula 2 stock cars, and I'll explain a little bit about those when they come on track. And then we go back to the FAC 1600s, the rodeos, and then back with the third and fourth heats of Formula 2 and Formula 1 with a standard heat in between. And then we move into the finals. We're going to be live here on stream until 7 p.m. UK time, so quite a long shift online, and it is going out locally on the TV as well. We've got my Dutch colleagues actually providing the Dutch or the Fryslan language commentary for the local TV station, and we are here wherever you are watching. Now if you do tweet me at AceScribe on Twitter, let me know where you're watching. And anything you'd like to say, anything you'd like to add, any questions you'd like to ask as well, I'll do my best to answer them. Obviously, I'm not a native Dutch speaker, so some of the Dutch names are a little bit difficult for me to pronounce. I've been talking to a lot of my Dutch friends here over the past couple of days. They've been trying to help, but not too easy. But I will give it my very best. But obviously a lot of the Dutch drivers we do see on a regular basis in the UK, so we've got used to them coming over. Now, Formula 2 stock cars coming on track. Of course, the grading system exactly the same as in the UK. For a long, long time, the grades were somewhat awry in the Netherlands. It used to be a bit of a thing, really. You'd come over and race the Netherlands, or the Dutch drivers would come over and race in the UK. Never really knew what grade they were. They would have multicolour roofs, but in the last few years that has changed dramatically, and now the grading system is exactly the same as in the UK, and just as strict as well. Rules exactly the same. As you can see, the white tops lining up at the front, least number of points in their respective national points chart. The national points chart runs throughout all of the tracks in the Netherlands, with the exception of one. I don't think Venray plays ball when it comes to the grades, but I could be wrong. That may have changed this year. Certainly wasn't the case last year. But they're the novices. They start at the front, and the yellow grade drivers, they start a little bit further back. The blue grade, they're the mid-grade drivers in the Dutch points chart, and then right towards the back, the star grade drivers with the red roofs. And as you can see, they've all got their roofs painted up correctly, just as would be the case in the UK, so it's very easy to spot who is in what grade in both the Formula 1 and the Formula 2 stock cars. Last night it was the world champion, because of course the Dutch, they took the two big titles on the shale in the UK last year. They took the world title at Mildenhall. That was won by Wim Peters, who won the final here at Blauwhuis last night, and also Patrick ter Steg was also a heat winner last night, but he won the World of Shale at Bellevue at the end of last season. But it went a bit wrong for him in the Grand National last night. He ended up with a big roll on the exit of turn number 2, so he's got a different aerofoil on. If you look at the screen there, you're going to see Dave Polly come past in a minute, one of 2 UK visitors here at Blauwhuis this week. The other one being Liam Bentham in 488. He's certainly busy. He was racing in Scotland last weekend. So under starters' orders for our first live race here from Blauwhuis on King's Battle Day, we get the green flag, and we are underway for Formula 2 stock cars. What is heat number 2? But all these drivers having their first run of the day. Early spinners here. Vincent ter Steg, that was, who's gone early on, and also the 512. A star grade driver going for a spin there, Gus Hermkens in 512. But it's Jan Hogvorsk in 21, but we get early yellow flags. And an incident there that both the cameras and I missed, but it looks like Jokovica has had a bit of a tangle, to say the least, with the 61 car of Jordi de Boer. Both of their aerofoils completely awry, so that's something that we missed early on. So the yellow flag's out and showing again the rules of racing exactly the same as we know in the UK. The yellow flag's out and showing every driver must slow down to a maximum of 5 miles per hour, remain in the position they are or were at the time of the yellow flag. So early yellow flag there, with an incident on the exit of turn number 4 into the home straight. Last night's final winner, the reigning world champion Wim Peters, he is out in this heat. Was very, very fast around here yesterday evening, won the final by quite some distance. Came second in the Grand National, where he took the traditional lap handicap. Couldn't get hold of Michael Schutter in 129. Had several goes at him over what was quite a yellow flag strewn Grand National last night. But he just couldn't get hold of the 129 car. Michael Schutter was actually in heat number 1 and had a DNF, so not a good start to his King's Battle Day. Daniel Van Spijker in 281, former Formula 1 stock car driver, just seems to be concentrating on the Formula 2s this year. Mainly in Holland, but plenty of regular visits over to the UK, as he's already done so. So single file restart. We're still very early on in this heat here. Heat number 2 for the Formula 2 stock cars, Jan Hogvorst. So they must remain in single file, which a lot of them are not doing. As you can see, starter not happy with that one, so they're going to be going round once again. And Pascal Koopmans, that was, really not staying in line. They must stay in the single file, exactly the same as we would know in the UK with RaRaRacing. So a sunny day now here in Friesland. It is very cold though. Weather pretty much the same as it is in the UK at the moment. Unseasonably cold. And it looks like 37, yes, for his part in causing that false start. Or a false restart or a restart that didn't happen, his punishment is that he is disqualified. So perhaps it's fair to say a lot more harsh here in the Netherlands on that kind of thing than we see in the UK. It could be argued that perhaps some of the stewards in the UK should take the same strong arm approach there that the steward here at Blauwhuis did. So back under starters' orders. And the 21 car continues to lead off. First starter show early on in this race, Dave Polly in 38. Patrick Steg, the World of Shale champion, behind him. And Barry Bauer in 116. So I don't recall seeing race last night, but he is definitely out there with the superstar flashing lights on in this first heat for him here at Blauwhuis this afternoon. So the lead has changed hands. 501 now in the lead. Nick de Boer. So 501 in the lead. Yellow grade. Clearly been red at some point. He goes down the back straight. 21 Jan Havorst down to second, but look at the progress of the world champion Wim Peters in 124 up into third place. Ron van Wamelen in 305 next up. Then we go back to 66, who was going very well last night, Willie Coppers, off-white. And the 126 car of Sjord Kranenberg. Bumper goes in from the gold top to the white top to move up into second place. But Wim Peters in 124 really has got that car hooked up around here at Blauwhuis this week. And is now right behind 501, our race leader. And only with a small amount of persuasion able to slip through on the inside there to take it up. So Wim Peters from the back of the grid to the front. 501 down to second. Battle for third, side by side, out of shot, but side by side between Dave Polly in 38. He's just moved ahead of Ron van Wamelen in 305, so Polly up into third place. Ron van Wamelen comes back at Polly though, so great battle there between those two. 305 and 38, UK 38 of course. Although a lot of the drivers do carry the H on their car, even if they purely race in the Netherlands, but it's probably fair to just call them by their numbers rather than the letter around here. Always a crash up on just in front of the commentary booth up here. As unhooked though, no real problems. And no real problems for our race leader, Wim Peters in 124. 501 still there for second. Still that battle going on for third. Dave Polly 38. Ron van Wamelen in 305. But Wim Peters really stretching away here now. Polly has dropped 305 and move ahead. So Van Wamelen firmly in fourth, or under pressure from Barry Bauer now in 116. Polly setting off after 501. But that early yellow flag closed everything up and aided the charge of some of these star graders. Got a car stranded right down here in turns 1 and 2. As you can see there, as they go past him there, white grey car, can't quite pick out who it is at the moment. But Wim Peters in 124 coming through. The conclusion of another lap, getting towards the closing stages now in this second heat for the Formula 2 stock car. Second place, that could change hands. Dave Polly in 38 now right with 501 as they go down the back straight. So Nick de Boer in 501 under pressure from Polly inside the last lap now. World champion Wim Peters essentially going to pick up from where he left off yesterday evening by taking the win, final win yesterday evening. He goes round turns 3 and 4 for the last time. Second place though, that is well and truly up for grabs. Checker flag is out. Wim Peters takes it in 124. Dave Polly is going to come through for second in 38. And Nick de Boer in 501 will be through for third. Ron van Wamelen in fourth. And then beyond that was the 126 car, 47 and 66. So 126 Sjord Kranenberg was next up. Patrick Steg in 47, and that very rapid looking white top, 66, of Willie Coppers. So Formula 2 stock cars going back to the pits. 2 pit entry and exits here. They go back to the pits, and the Formula 1 stock cars for their second heat of the afternoon are already in the pit lane and graded up as well, so they can actually come out in graded order. So there's the result then. 1-2-4 Wim Peters with the win. Second place, it's actually, of course, shows UK 3, but it's, as we know, UK 38 David Polly. Third place, 5-0-1 Nick de Border. In fourth, 3-0-5 Ron van Bamelan. And in fifth place, 1-2-6 Sjord Krandenberg. And there's the winners' times as well. So that's the first live race here this afternoon. Plenty of live racing still to come. I say we're online until 6 p.m. Central European time, 7 p.m. UK time. So whatever you're doing, make yourself at home. Get a nice a long drink and enjoy the stock car racing. Live stock car racing on TV. It's been a long time since stock car racing was shown live anywhere in Europe. Actually on the television, coming out on the local television here, and of course we've got the live stream as well, where you can watch anywhere around the world. So just the grading going on now, which happens between each and every race, just to make sure the track is absolutely tip-top here at Blauwhuis this afternoon. Hopefully the weather will stay dry. The forecast is for 1 or 2 showers. We already had indeed 1 or 2 this morning. It is unseasonably cold, it's probably fair to say, much as it is in the UK at the moment. Although this meeting last year, a lot of my Dutch friends have said that it's just as cold this year as it was last year. So whilst it can be considered unseasonably cold, because temperature at the moment is around about 9 degrees outside, but there is quite an icy wind blowing straight off of the North Sea with its origins in the Arctic. So it is pretty chilly out there. But of course the old saying goes, you can keep warm, but you can't necessarily keep dry. Big crowd here at Blauwhuis as well, on what is a public holiday, as we say. It's the King's birthday holiday. And still plenty of people coming in, because the racing today actually culminates in a caravan race, the very last race of the day, a caravan race, which is very, very popular here in the Netherlands, just as they are in the UK, and indeed anywhere when they have a caravan race, or as I've seen them in Australia, as they know them as a Dunny Derby as well. Always brings in a lot of people who enjoy the stock car racing and the other classes as well in between. So just the grading going on, and then we'll be back for heat number 2 this afternoon, which is actually race number 8 on the programme. It will be the second heat for the Formula 1 stock cars. And if you didn't join us right at the very top of the broadcast, the first heat for the Formula 1 stock cars, that was won by Rick Wobbers in 14. It looked like Harman Swerver was going to take it, but he went for a last bend lunge on the back marking Ron Krunder in error, thinking that Ron was actually the leader, but Ron was recovering from a tangle. So it was spectacular stuff. If a yellow grader had gone in like a red grader like he did on any occasion, it was spectacular, but it was simply in error in the end, and he ended up going very wide, and Rick Wobbers, who wasn't too far behind, said, "Thank you very much, this one's mine." So he actually won that, Rick coming off blue, Harman Swerver off yellow. In fact, the first star grader home in that race was Danny Wayman in 212, UK 212. He came through in 5th place. A lot of the other stars and superstars amongst the Dutch contingent seemed more interested in accounting for each other. And there is reasons for that, because it's the points on the heats determining who goes through to the KingsBattle Final, the King of Dirt here this afternoon. So it could well be that tactics were coming into play over and above the usual front bumper tactics that we see in stock car racing. Just grading going on, and then we'll be back with heat number 2 for the Formula 1 stock cars. And that first heat for the Formula 1 stock cars did also feature last night's final winner Craig Finnegan in 55. He did develop a gearbox issue in the Grand National last night. He did place in the Grand National, if I recall, but I did see on the social media that there was some parts being sought for his gearbox. Presumably that was fixed, but I think Craig actually finished outside of the top 10 in heat number 1. And as I say, Danny Wayman was actually the first star home in that race in the end in 212 in 5th place. So Formula 1 stock cars, as you can see, just coming down pit road to join us on track for their second heat this afternoon. This is the second half of the cars, each driver getting 2 heats in half of the cars. Going out in their graded order. And as I explained with the Formula 2 stock cars, exactly the same with the Formula 1 stock cars. The grades done on the Dutch national points, obviously, with the white roofs, least number of points at the front. Then we move to the yellows, the blues, the stars, the traditional UK grading system. It took the Dutch, in fairness, a long time to establish a grading system, but they certainly have done so now. And Formula 1 stock cars over here on the dirt tracks really is absolutely booming. And this is actually the 3rd dirt meeting in the space of a week over here in the Netherlands. So, another false start in the Formula 1 stock cars. So the starting procedure being kept very strict, and I think that's a very good thing. I don't know if you're watching agree with that. It makes it fair for everyone. And that was a somewhat messy start, particularly amongst the yellow graders, the white and the whites indeed, the whites and the yellows. That really was the lower graded drivers, the novices, for a want of a better description. But the problem is, if the whites and the yellows don't go, then the blues don't really know what to do either, and the stars always go right at the back, obviously, and it just ends up being with the mess that you saw there on screen. So line them all back up and have a second go. It looks like the one who's been picked out as the perpetrator of that false start, Bert Hondard, in 5.41, and his punishment is that he gets sent off. I think there really would be tears, wouldn't there, if some of our UK stewards adopted that, but I think it's something that is around the corner, in all honesty, rather than just a black cross and a slap wrist or whatever else, which... But nevertheless, it's not easy for the drivers because the adrenaline's pumping, they want to go, and it's not easy for a steward as well because they have to make a very split decision. So looking out there for Chris Clare, he's not actually out there. I would have thought he would have been in this heat because he is another UK entrant racing here at Blauwhuis this week, but not actually here. He did have a DNF, 2 DNFs last night, but we are now underway for the second heat for the Formula 1 stock cars. And plenty tangled up over there towards the back, and that is why we've got a yellow flag with the car stuck right on the racing line. So the 52 car, actually a late addition. Don't actually have him on my list. And I think the other one there was Tom Maris in 161. So they're left stranded. So and the yellow flag, we really didn't get very far at all. I don't think even a racing lap was put into the record books there. Before we went to yellow flag, we've also now lost the 53 car of Stefan de Jong. Of course, 53, a famous number in the world of brisket Formula 1 stock car racing. Of course, John Lund has many, many fans over here in the Netherlands, just as he does in the UK. So 52, his car just being towed to the centre. Easy to see why he couldn't move that. Very, very bent outside rear wheel. Hopefully he can get that back out for his second heat this afternoon. The race lead is with Jan Kuyn in 6.99. who went very, very well yesterday evening. Took a lot of catching in all of the racing off the white grade. But of course, with these yellow flags, it does allow the bigger names out there in this one, like Danny van Wamelen in 47. Another one who was getting stuck in last night was Jack Tesselaar in 440. But here we go. As you can see, very, very good and strict restart. We're back underway. Green flag. And the very brightly painted 699 leads them off. So Jan Kuin in 699. The first of the stars is Jan van der Lest in 26 as two go thundering into the plating down on turns 3 and 4. They do continue on their way, but that has held up the stars a little bit. And Jan van der Lest has now been passed by Danny van Wamelen in 47. Danny right up the front in the final last night until he went out in a tangle with Bart de Vries in 20. And then Bart de Vries ended up in a big battle with Craig Finnegan and Danny Wayman. But we end up with yellow flags once again. Yellow flags once again. With the stranded car down on the pits bend. It was one of those that went at that crash at the restart. He has now got it going. So the 32 car he's got a flat tyre on the front anyway, so he is going to come out as the prime cause of the yellow flag. Again, that's a rule that is exactly the same over here in the Netherlands, or at least at Blauwhuis, as it is in the UK. But there's no way that he was going to get there going anyway. The outside front tyre, not an awful lot left of it. So once again, he's going to have to do it all again. Jan Kuin in 699. Gos Hoekstra in 44 was going very well last night. And he is now into second place. And with all due respect to Jan in 699, I would say that the blue grader has got a good chance here. But so, further back, Danny van Wamelen in 47. Superstar driver already inside the top 5 in 5th place. But as you can see, 699 is no slouch and certainly destined for more than white grade. Jan Kuin. Gos Hoekstra actually under pressure from the yellow grader driver behind, who's looking to come back at him. So Lex Lemon in 25 actually repasses the 44. It could well be that 44 could have a puncher or something, to be honest with you, the way that car has all of a sudden the handling's gone completely awry. Let's look out the commentary booth window to see if all looks okay, but something's gone wrong, because he's now been passed with relative ease by Danny van Wamelen in 47. But here we are still with the 699 leader, as you say, as I say, as you say, as I say. Jan Kuin in 699 is no slouch. With Lex Lemon in 25 in second, but the big danger man, without doubt, Danny van Wamelen in 47. Then we go back to Gos Hoekstra in 44. Things really settled down now, and it's the race at the front, with the superstar chasing after these two lower graded, the yellow and the white tops, who aren't making it easy for him. The superstar flashing lights on Danny van Wamelen in 47. Oh, there's a spin there on screen for the 172. So Ron Vasek has gone around in 172. Lead changes hands with 25, taking it up Lex Lemon. Danny van Wamelen into second place in 47, then back to third for 699, but still hanging on in there, the white grader of Jan Kuin. But Danny van Wamelen then slides through to take it up. So Danny van Wamelen in 47. Well known to UK supporters. Raced in the Formula 2 stock cars before moving into the Formula 1 stock cars. Jack Tesselaar stranded down on the exit of turn 4 in 440. So laps ticking away now for Danny van Wamelen in 47. As he goes down the back straight. Lex Lemon in 25, keeping him in his sights, but I don't think there's going to be any heroics. Perhaps famous last words. We did see a yellow grade lunge at a star grade in the first heat, in what was that case of mistaken identity, or just assuming that Ron Kroonder was the race leader. But I think Danny van Wamelen, he's got this one all covered. Checker flag goes down and he takes it in 47. 25 through for second, 699 through for third. So excellent stuff there for the lower graders. Lex Lemon in 25, Jan Kuhn in 699. And the minor places now trickle across the line. So Danny van Wamelen, good start to his King's Battle day. He wins his first heat of the afternoon. So just to repeat from earlier on, each driver will race in 2 heats this afternoon. It's 2 half-car heats. It's not the traditional UK system, which was in adoption last night, where they had well, it was 3 heats actually. We were into thirds last night with 3 heats. A consolation final Grand National today. Each driver will race in 2 heats. The points from those will determine who qualifies for the feature finals this afternoon. So you've got to have a good day. You could end up with just having the 2 races this afternoon because there's no Grand National scheduled. We've got a grand total of 23 races here at Blauwhuis this afternoon. That was race number 8, so still plenty more to come. As I say, we're on air until 7 p.m. Central European time, and sorry, 7 p.m. UK time, 6 p.m. Central European time. Easy to get confused with the hour. So grading goes on once again ahead of our next race, which is for the junior Formula 2 stock cars. So Danny van Wamelen in 47. One thing you don't get here at Blauwhuis after each and every race, like we do in the UK, is a lap of honour. Doesn't happen here. As you can see, and still people are coming in here at Blauwhuis this afternoon. Going to be very, very busy on this public holiday here in the Netherlands this afternoon. So if you are watching anywhere around in the UK, in the Netherlands, Australia, New Zealand, as there has been some contact there, and do drop me a tweet. It's at AceScribe, just like Spajarama has. Says loving the live stream. Stuck housebound over by Amsterdam, and it's really cheering him up. So nice one. Thank you very much. That grading continuing to go on. Now the venue here at Blauwhuis is certainly one that is coming along very nicely, because it's only recently, as around about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, that it was a field track, as was known. The Dutch fields were very popular, but it's been, as you can see, turned into a venue, a very fine venue. The kind of venue that we see in the UK, or in particular it reminds me of a sort of a regional track in the US or Australia, which of course are very popular in those parts of the world. We've also now got the steel plate fencing, nice wide track as well with the in-out pit gate. It's certainly a venue that in the UK I think we're going to be hearing an awful lot more of in the future. And the dirt and the shale scene really is booming here in the Netherlands. Perhaps the slight reverse to as it is in the UK at the moment, only Formula 1 stock car wise. The tarmac scene is nice and strong. I think The shale scene is at the moment still perhaps a little bit at a loss with the racing at Coventry ceasing a lot sooner than we otherwise thought it would. Plans are afoot for that to be replaced, and I'm of the belief that it will be, but at the moment I think there are a few drivers, particularly those who are only really used to race at Coventry, who found themselves in the doldrums. So, have a junior starter in position for the junior Formula 2s, which, as we saw there, are all lined up already, and you probably thought, well, they look just like normal Formula 2s. It's because they are. They're driven by the juniors. The only difference is they're the same spec as the adult Formula 2s. Indeed, there are one or two that actually share cars with an adult family member at the same meeting. They are exactly the same spec as the adult Formula 2s. The only difference is that they are non-contact. Now, non-contact, not easy on a dirt track like this one. But it certainly gives them a very, very good grounding to move into the Formula 2 stock cars and the Formula 1 stock cars should they choose to do so. And suffice to say that this is probably the fastest junior formula in Europe. Confess I'm not 100% sure what the starting age is for the junior Formula 2s. I'm inclined to think it's 13 or 14. I don't think it's as young as 11 as our national mini stocks, ORCI mini stocks in the UK are. But certainly going very, very strong. With a good field of cars. The starting procedure, they say they've got the different coloured tops on, it doesn't apply in the junior Formula 2 stock cars. They're only racing here today. They didn't race yesterday evening, but good entry of cars. The first heat, that was won by quite some margin by Klaas Jan Visser in 6.86. That was the very first race of the day. There was 23 cars in their first heat. I think we may have lost one or two, but still a good field of cars for this second heat for the juniors this afternoon. Also got a tweet from Gordon Moody here as well. Good to see that Gordon's watching or listening. And it would be good that if we could get something similar for the UK tracks. I think I'm not being unfair to say that our friends over here in the Netherlands are ahead of us now, ahead of us in the UK, on so many issues. I think they're beating us almost at our own game in some ways. It's certainly something that ought to be considered, certainly for some of the bigger meetings. As you see all these people stood on the terracing with the Facebook, with the Periscope, which even some promoters actually watch. So if that is happening, then perhaps we should do it properly. But good to see Gordon is watching. And it appears that we've got a non-starter over towards the back, and that's why indeed we have there, hence the teleporter having to tow one away. So that's unfortunate there for 54. Zander van Willek. Broken down on the start-finish line. And the eagle-eyed amongst you watching over there in Britain might notice one or two of the ex-UK cars have found their way here for the junior Formula 2s. Just looking at the 710 car, which is the ex-Brett Townsend car, still in Brett's old colours. So Klaas van Visser won the first heat for them, and actually is on the front row once again for the second heat. Under starters orders, green flag is down, and Junior missed the starter, as you can see there. Sends them underway. One who didn't go very far in the first heat, Nigel de Kock in 5.25. We've seen him race in the national mini stocks in the UK on a couple of occasions. So the young driver's finding it a little bit slick there, with the track having been completely regraded and watered. But no real problems for Klaas van Visser in 6.86. 84 there from the Schmidt Racing dynasty. And a spin for the Jorrit van Val car of 78. Swiftly back in. There's the former Brett Townsend car that I mentioned. There's 78 recovering from that spin. But 6.86, Klaas van Visser, Klaas Jan Visser, is going very well. Oh, a spin ahead of him though, as we get the 74 car in shot there. That's Webby Fenstra. There's another spinner there, and with one or two now stuck on the racing line. Just looking to see around if there is any others, but it is the two down there on turns 3 and 4. Yellow flags out and showing. Of course, we do have to bear in mind that these are the younger drivers as well, so extra care having to be taken. But that yellow flag, Klaas Jan Visser didn't want to see that. He's now got Nigel de Kock in 5.25 right behind him. On screen there, the 84 car. That's an example of a car that's actually being used in both the adult and the junior Formula 2s. Unless they're playing tricks on me and they've got two cars absolutely identical. Gerke Witteveen there in almost a 5.15 Frankie Wayman Jr. tribute car. There for third. I think he is there for third as well. I haven't actually seen him gone out, so the gaps have closed up. And it is as we see it for the resumption, with Klaas Jan Visser in 6.86. Under pressure from Nigel de Kock for this restart. Junior Mr. Starter waves that green flag. And could the lead change hands here? Klaas Jan Visser, local youngster from Friesland, under pressure from Nigel de Kock in 5.25. Here they come in shots into turn 1 and round 2. I think 6.86 has got this covered though, opened up 2 to 3 car lengths. And the speed of these two, they're going to be back into back markers very swiftly. Indeed they are already. The first of those back markers, Lisanne Nirup in 10. And these two well clear. 6.86 and 5.25 are into the lap boards now for the juniors. Some way back to the third place, which is still with 5.15 by my reckoning. But that 5.15 is half a lap behind, so these two are half a lap ahead. Our two race leaders, Klaas Jan Visser and Nigel de Kock. Oh, goes in there with 6.86 spinning. And the question there, it's easy to forget that, of course, it is non-contact. Did 6.86 spin and then 5.25 hit him, or did 5.25 hit him and then 6.86 spin? That's the question, I suppose. But the checkered flag is up and down, and Nigel de Kock, he is the winner of the second one this afternoon for the juniors. Very difficult to differentiate what is contact and what isn't contact, particularly on a dirt and or shale track like this one, with cars such as these. But whether 686 recovered for second, I think he did, because these two were so far ahead. Plus Jan Visser in 686, Nigel de Kock in 525. Now, for those of you watching in the UK, you probably think, well, what are these? This is the FAC 1600, and these are the most production-based cars that run here at Blauwhuis and have been part of the programme here at the track since the very early days. There's VW, Opel, Seat, Toyota. They're the most common brands in this category, all limited to an engine capacity of 1600cc. It is contact, but it isn't all about the rough stuff. It's not banger racing. The contact's only really there to improve positions in the corners, so really sort of stock car kind of contact rather than banger contact. They have a clutch start and they have just a 10-lap race, although their final is over 14 laps. So a good budget entry-level class, really, and there are a fair few drivers who have moved from this class into both or either the Formula 1 or the Formula 2 stock cars. So everyone's got to start somewhere. Not everyone has sort of like the wherewithal and the budget to jump straight into a Formula 2 or a Formula 1, and this is a good way to start, just as we see in the UK and indeed other parts of the world as well. Good budget entry-level class, and they were very watchable yesterday evening around here, and their first heat this afternoon was just the same. Jordi Tenkati in 25 was the race winner in the first one that was on before we went on to air. There he is, in the centre of the shot there. He was our first heat winner. So under the clutch start. And the green flag is down for a 10-lap race. Here on KingsBattle Day, there's 87. Hay Schneider was actually an early casualty in the first race, but was going well yesterday evening, so one to watch most certainly. As you can see, just a nudge there, goes sliding wide. It's between these two, 87 and 25. Broken clear, 25. Jordi Tenkate was the first heat winner. As they go sliding their way round, looking further back, battles going on everywhere. The next battle up the road is with the third place. Laurent Zandringer in 6 now, getting ahead on that one. Talking of getting ahead, Hay Schneider in 87, breaking away from first heat leader. Jordi Tenkate in 25. A class that actually only races here at Blauwhuis, so a lot of local drivers and thus a lot of local support. The kind of class that every track needs. They've got to have a class like this, because as I said earlier on, it's all very well with the glamour formulae such as the Formula 1 and the Formula 2, but it's very, very difficult for someone to actually start racing, having not raced anything before, to just jump straight into one of those cars, and a class like this is a good way to start. And Hay Schneider in 87. As it stands at the moment, looking like he's got this one covered. With Jordi Tenkate in 25. Starting to drop back. And he's actually being caught by Laurent Zandringer in 6. 1, 2 and 3 evenly spaced. There's only a 10-lap race, of course, so the lap's ticking well away here. Our race leader is in back-marking traffic. It's whether or not the back-markers want to play ball with him. Looks like he's weathered this one at the moment, or do they? No, because the 63 car comes back at him, just out of shot. So he and Postma in 63, a little bit of a nudge as he came past. As you can see the yellow one in the screen there. He was the one that had a little bit of a nibble back as our race leader and indeed race winner came back at him. So Hay Schneider in 87, he wins the second one this afternoon for the FAC 1600 class. With Yodit Tenkati. Good afternoon thus far though, with a first and a second place. With 87, he was a DNF in the first one and a broken front wheel on the first corner of his first heat, but bounces back to take quite a comprehensive win there in the second one this afternoon for the FAC 1600 class. Next up we have the rodeos, which is interesting. If you are a banger fan, you might enjoy watching these, but don't go thinking you're about to watch bangers, because you're actually not. We'll explain a little bit about them when they get onto track. So our replay here of our first televised race for the FAC 1600s. A locally based cast, as I said during that race, and probably quite a few local people, local families will be watching on the local TV, their local driver, which of course is what it's all about. It's not totally all about the glamour classes such as the Formula 1s and the Formula 2s. The lower end need the top end, and the top end need the lower end. So there's the result. Hay Schneider in 87 with the win. Jordi Tenkati second. Laurent Zandringer in third. Arjen Visser in fourth. And Peter Miedemar in fifth. Here on King's Battle Day at Blauwhuis. With the grading going in once again. You might have noticed there is on the centre almost like a throne, and that is what the winner of the King of Dirt later on gets paraded round on. Last year it was Ron Krunder. They actually get a cape and a crown and go round sat on a throne. Very quaint, but nevertheless all part of the fun here on King's Day 2017. You would have seen the hashtag come up there, KB17. So if you do want to use the hashtag KB17, King's Battle 17, this great meeting here at Blauwhuis, then by all means do so. Water going down once again. As that wind very, very keen and is aiding the drying out of the track. But next up will be the rodeo class. Certainly some spectacular sights and sounds with the rodeos. The drivers in the rodeo class, they can choose a variety of cars, whether it's a trusty old Ford Granada or a VW Golf. Almost anything is allowed as long as it has 6 cylinders. So you get to see some very big cars out there in amongst the smaller ones. And once again, much like the 1600s, it is contact, but it's not banger racing by any stretch. But some, more than some, of the banger drivers do come and race in the rodeo class, just have a few laps in their cars, and then they take part in the bangers, which of course are very popular over on the other side of the Netherlands in Emmen. And whilst that might sound a long way away, of course the Netherlands not really a very, very big country. It's not too far away, Emmen, but is over the other side of the Netherlands. But of course any banger driver that does take part in the rodeos and do a bit of banger racing, they do have a bit of a slap wrist, and I believe there was at least one driver who was told to go away and have another think after the racing yesterday evening. But very spectacular though. Here they come onto track, as you can see. Now this kind of thing, well, affectionately old school bangers, nudge and spin bangers. We are seeing it more and more in the UK now. Because again, much the same applies. Not everyone is going to build a great big national banger and go and do a BWS meeting in it, are they? It's just never going to happen. And this is a good way. Classes like this are a good way to get drivers from the safer side of the fence, for want of a better description, from the terraces, onto the track. But as you can see on screen, if you are watching in the UK and beyond, if you're not really fully au fait with the rodeos, it is essentially a form of like super bangers, or almost like the old school bangers. They've got full roll cages, as you can see, because they're not just built for one meeting, they are built for a whole season and indeed beyond. And a good entry of cars. The first one had 24 cars on track, and I think the vast majority have made it out for the second heat.
Nou, de volgende rondes zijn natuurlijk voor deze heren rodeo's. Ze staan er klaar voor. 4 rondes gaan ze ook rijden.
Just two less.
Dus even een verbinding krijgen. Een beetje naar de vervullertrein. Nou, die staan er klaar voor. Mensen die de vervullertrein die komen naar de trein voor jullie volgende heat.
So green flag, well-controlled start, even from the rodeos, as you saw there. Menno van der List in 327, Mondeo Estate. Leads them off, but not for too long, goes out very wide. Various forms of disarray behind. Kevin Tammis there in 15, rejoins and collects the 135 car, Jeffrey Gerritsen, who then spins himself off out into the deep as well, 135. I think this is our race lead coming down here into shots with 397. As we go under the yellow flags, 397 Save van der Wal, always two come together under the yellow flags. It was Hay and Dirk Vellemar who found himself getting turned around there under the yellows. I think it was a racing incident though. Jets Terpstra in 355. I think I've just pronounced that completely wrong, no doubt. Our race lead is with 397, Cyber van der Wal. So we've got one or two tyres that have been knocked onto the track as well. So slow-mo replay there. De 37 van Giel Korn. Plaats van het punt in deze. In ieder geval deze man doet goede zaken. Gisteravond was snel door het huis toe gegaan, had nog wat schade zwaren. Daar heeft het vannacht de grond overgebracht. Ja, zo gaan we dat bij die jongens. En dan wordt het groepje weer met volle van het heen. Met de landen. So Cyber van der Wal, our race leader. Again, much the same as the FAC 1600s in the previous race. A lot of local drivers, local people watching and supporting them, and I don't doubt a few local people noticing their local names and drivers on the local TV as well. Cyber van der Waal, I think he is a Friesland-based driver as we go back to green. Oh, as a couple go thundering into the plating down in front of the commentary booth. As we watch 397 in the race lead. It was the initial leader, 362. That Jongblood was the initial leader in the race. Has now found himself meeting a bit of a sudden stop here on turns 1 and 2. Cyber van der Waal nicely clear here. As he picks his way through the back markers as we move into the closing stages, again much the same as the FAC 1600s, relatively short races for the rodeos. Although 43 pushes past 397 to take it up. So 43 and 397 as they go down this back straight. And 397 has now found his way back past 43 as he got sent out into the deep here on turns 1 and 2, just past the commentary booth, as 464 manages to collect one of the stranded cars as well. So 397, he had the lead, he lost the lead, he gained it back again, and here's our second rodeo winner this afternoon here at Blauwhuis. So well done to Cyber van der Waal.
Nou, dames en heren, bij deze opdracht de Romeo-klasse, de bak 1600-klasse in Omrop nummer 2 gaan we weer naar het formule gebeuren.
So the Wassenaar equipped car of 43 wrestled his way back past 397 there, but then in backmarking traffic, as is so often the case in any form of motorsport, races get one lost, gained, regained, and Cyber van der Waal came through to take the second one this afternoon for the rodeos. They go back to the pits. Still the crowd are coming in here at Blauwhuis this afternoon, all looking towards the caravans and the big races later on. That was race number 11 of the 23 on the race programme this afternoon, so we're getting through it. Race number 12 will be the second, well, heat number 3 for the Formula 2 stock cars. It's the second heat for the second round of heats for them. Then likewise the Formula 1s, they're in race 13. Then we get the standards, and they were going round when we came onto the broadcast. We're back where we were then. And then the second heat for the second heat for the heat group 2 for the Formula 1s and the Formula 2s in 15 and 16. Then we get the junior Formula 2 final, the 1600 final, the rodeo final, standard final. Then we move into the very big races in race 21, Formula 2 final, Formula 1 final, and we round out with the caravans. And as I say, if it all goes to schedule, we will be on air until 6 p.m. Central European time, 7 p.m. UK time. So Formula 2's coming out for their second heats. It's not exactly the same half of the cars as it was in Heat 1. It's not straight half, i.e. those that appeared in Heat 1 appear in Heat 3. Those that appeared in Heat 2 appear in Heat 4. They've been re-halved to make it fair for everyone, so they don't race against the same drivers in each of the races, with the points being scored in these 4 heats determining how they line up in, or determining how they qualify. It's not actually a grid, but determining how they qualify for the grand final this afternoon. On track for this one, though, one that did win heat number 1. It was before we came on air this morning. Martin van der Waal in 39. Looked very competent off of his yellow graded starts. Got 2 out there minus the aerofoils. I think it's the 2 that tangled up in what was heat number 3 for them. Or was it heat number 2? Heat number 2. Of course, this is heat number 3. Joke Visser in 2. He's come out minus his aerofoil. And Jordi de Boer also come out minus his aerofoil. Of course, actually what we see here is 2 perfect examples of how and why the grading rules were slightly changed this year. So that a driver, if they come out minus their aerofoil after a yellow flag, after a yellow flag, well, it was a yellow flag, if they come out after a crash, they get the yellow patch on the roof and the white patch on the roof to determine what grade they were from. That's where I was coming from with the colours. I think there were a few drivers who were a little bit bemused and confused as to why they had to do that, but a perfect example, I suppose, thereof. And of course, it is implemented here in the Netherlands as well. So, green flag is down. It's heat number 3 for the Formula 2 stock cars. Liam Bentham from the UK in this one. Liam has actually gone well both yesterday evening and this afternoon, but ultimately has had little or nothing to show for it. Seems to have dropped out at the last minute. So Martin van der Waal very swiftly into the lead in 39. Richard Falconer, though, local 16-year-old, went very, very well yesterday evening. He is through into 2nd place. So there's Joke Visser. As we've got an in-car here, a live GoPro here, live in-car action. And that's in-car with Richard Falconer, I believe, in 141. And Liam Bentham, yes, his wretched trip continues. He's gone. He's down by the pit gate, 488 for those of you watching in the UK. I think Liam's own family are watching too, but alas, Liam has gone. So Martin van der Waal still with the lead in 39. See if the cameras can pick him up. Significantly, we've lost Wim Peters in H124. Or 124, of course, as he is in his homeland. The world champion is gone, so that's bad news for Wim. Winner of his first heat, out in his 2nd heat. Didn't actually see the demise of Wim. I think he's just literally parked it up. He's just on the exit of turn 4 on the inside. But Martin van der Waal at the completion of another lap. Richard Falconer in 2nd in 141. And Michael Schutter through to 3rd. Michael very, very fast yesterday evening. Had a heat win and won the Grand National as well. A DNF in his first heat. So needs something good from this one, and he's up into 3rd place. So the lap's ticking away. Martin van der Waal in 39. There's our race leader. 2nd, Richard Falconer in 141, just there in shot, going down the back straight. And then just out of shot, Michael Schutter in 129, running in 3rd place. 512 of Gus Hermkins is down a lap, having been lapped by 39. So the red grader not having such a good run here at Blauwhuis this afternoon. looking to unlap himself. Michael Schutter now up into second place, having demoted Richard Falconer in 141. Colin Schutter next up. In 929, driving Michael Schutter's older car. And now with a clear run at the race leader, Michael Schutter in 129. So Martin van der Waal, for a little while, it looked like he could be heading for his second win of the afternoon, but that's not the case now. Under pressure there, as you can see, from 129 of Michael Schutter. Schutter then gets up on the outsides. Martin van der Waal still on the insides. It didn't gain him the place, so Schutter's going to have another go as they go into turn one here, up on the inside. Going to have to do a little bit of nerfing there as well. And still Van der Waal looks to come back at him. But of course Van der Waal, no slouch, has raced in World Finals before, at least one anyway, at Kings Lynn back in 2011. But I think Michael Schutter should have done enough this time. But of course drama ahead as 580 and 512 tangle up ahead of the race leaders, but they did manage to slip through on the inside. And Michael Schutter in 129. Martin van der Waal still there for second, so still going to go into the final as the highest point scorer, although it could well be a Schutter 1-2 here, with Colin Schutter in 929 now piling the pressure on Van der Waal, but it's not going to be the case as 129 Michael Schutter, he takes it. Martin van der Waal second, Colin Schutter third in 929. Richard Falconer in 141, looking like he came through for fourth. Just looking out the commentary booth window, Aaron van Vamelen and Patrick ter Steg could well have rounded out the top 5 or 6, with Vincent ter Steg in there as well in 118. So the results may or may not come up on screen. You probably noticed that some of the results we've had on screen, others we have not. But for my money there and my observations, obviously 129 Michael Schutter with the win, 39 Martin van der Waal in second, Colin Schutter third in 929, so a good one there for the Schutters. Richard Falconer, who we very briefly saw with the live in-car there on the GoPro in 141, he was in fourth place. And fifth, Ronald van Vamelen in 305. And then outside the top 5, 6, I think we had the ter Stegs of 47, the World of Shale champion Patrick ter Steg, and 118 of Vincent ter Steg. There we are, there's a brief shot of the live GoPro, live in-car action there from Richard Falconer as Colin Schutter went past him. Excellent stuff from the Formula 2 stock cars this track. There is confirmation of that result then. Michael Schutter in 129 as we saw. Martin van der Waal in 39 second. Colin Schutter in 929 for thirds. Fourth, Richard Falconer in 141 and fifth, 305. Ron van Vamelen. That was the top 5 in heat number 3 for the Formula 2 stock cars. And for those watching in the UK, there's 2 UK Formula 2 stock car drivers here racing at Blauwhuis this week. Dave Polly in 38, he will be in the next heat. Liam Bentham was in that heat, and alas for poor Liam, it was another DNF in the 488 car. Talking of DNFs, looking out the commentary booth window here, I see the world champion Wim Peters sort of walking dejected back to the pits. Not too sure what went wrong with the world champion there. Of course, won his heats, won the final yesterday evening, but being towed off from his DNF in that one. You can see him in the screen there, that red tractor just to the left of the screen, that is towing Wim Peters' car away. So if we stay with this shot, we might be able to have a look to see what sort of damage there is to the world champion's car. Doesn't look anything too significant, it must be said, so I would suggest that's more mechanical than race damage. Of course, not only is Wim Peters the gold roof, he's actually the silver roof as well. He's the double national points champion here in the Netherlands. Very much the man to beat, and certainly going to be amongst the favourites to defend that world title. A track, Kings Lynn, not dissimilar to this one at all. And a track that Wim Peters and indeed the rest of the Dutch contingent go very well on. An awful lot of interest from the Dutch contingent to come and race at the World Final in Kings Lynn in September. Now, if you haven't got your tickets for that yet, I think the deadline for the reduced advance tickets, reduced price advance tickets, that comes to pass, I think, don't quote me on this, I think on the 30th of the month, so not too far away. You can, with the links to get the tickets online, buy them online. You can get there via the Autospeed website, autospeed.co.uk, the Trackstar website as well, which is stockcar-racing.co.uk. Or just put Trackstar into Google, it'll get you there. And also I think there's a link via the Brisker Formula 2 website as well. That is going to be a great event at Kings Lynn in September, and certainly one for the Dutch supporters, because I think there's yet again a very, very good possibility of Dutch success in that race. Was defended by Wim Peters, won the world title at Mildenhall last year in what were very, very difficult conditions. But having said that, of course, it was conditions that a lot of the Dutch drivers seem to be relatively at home with. Although really were bad conditions for a world final, but we're not going to go into the whys and what-fors of what went on at Mildenhall on that particular evening. Mildenhall Stadium itself, of course, has undergone a transformation since then. There's Formula 2 stock cars at Mildenhall on Saturday night. So if you are a Formula 2 supporter, then you could certainly do a lot worse than go along to Mildenhall and watch some shale racing in East Anglia. In fact, East Anglia, you're spoiled this coming Saturday if you are watching in the UK, because there's Formula 1 stock cars and saloon stock cars English Championship at the Adrian Flux Arena at the aforementioned Kings Lynn, and Formula 2 stock cars taking place not too far away at Mildenhall as well. So, of course, another busy bank holiday weekend coming up in the UK this weekend. That's mainly why there's not been as many UK drivers. There was more UK drivers actually at the King's Battle last year compared to this year, but that's largely, I think, because it's found itself in between Easter and May Day, which, of course, is a lot of racing for the UK drivers. Particularly as I've certainly Formula 2 wise, these meetings over here don't carry national points, so really they're just coming over here to be part of it. There is a meeting here for the Formula 2 stock cars in September that does carry national points, so hopefully there'll be a few more from the UK come over here and visit, because certainly if you are watching online and if you're perhaps not fully aware what type of venue it is here at Blauwhuis, but as you can see, a venue that you would very much like to come and visit if you are a spectator, a venue that we very much like to race at. If you are a shale track Formula 1 or Formula 2 stock car driver, I can assure you of that, and you'll be made very, very welcome. Nice area as well. We're not too far away from the town of Sneek, which is one of the major towns of the Friesland area. Very, very nice town, and very, very Dutch as well, with the canals running through it. Lots of good places to stay. Around about, if you come via the ferry, it's around about 2.5 hours from the Hook of Holland to be here in Friesland. If you come in by plane, obviously you then land at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam. Well, it's around about 1.5 hours to Schiphol from here. And if you want to come Dover-Calais, which is the shortest ferry route, and then driving, that is it's probably, you're probably looking 4 or 5 hours by car to get up here from Calais. I think the best way to come, if you want to bring your own car, the best way is Harwich Hook of Holland. You can get an overnight ferry, but for quickness you can also fly over as well, very easy from a lot of the regional airports into Amsterdam. Right, we are back with heats number 3 for the Formula 1 stock cars. Each and every one of these drivers in their second heats, just as we saw with the Formula 2 stock cars just now. Names well known. Well, do we claim Siad de Vries as a Brit or as a Dutchman? Suffice to say he is Dutch domiciled, but he is registered in the UK. He's also registered in the Netherlands. So do we, as the Brits, for those of you watching in the UK, do we claim him or not? Well, he had a bit of an off in his first heat before we came to air. Lost his rear wheel. He's actually going to be racing at Kings Lynn in just 2 days' time. Siad de Vries in 54. He is out there, as indeed is Craig Finnegan in 55. And the rest as we send them underway for the third heat of the 4 for the Formula 1 stock cars around here on King's Battle Day this afternoon. So straight to yellow flag.
afgesloten duurt naar de dirttrack. Een verplekking uit vooraf natuurlijk een whitespot terug in.
So yellow flags out and showing very early on with tangles all around, as is often the case on a regraded and rewatered track. But as we saw earlier on, 699 Jan Kuin, who was the early leader, won't be fazed too much by this. And a driver who is destined for more than his white grade starts. Jan Postemar, he has gone though in 7.28. So we are back under starters' orders for the resumption. Once again, I think we barely got a racing lap into the record books in this third heat for the Formula Ones this afternoon. So perfectly done. Green flag is back down and we're back underway for heat number 3 for the Formula 1 stock cars. And the two that featured heavily in their first heats, Jan Kuin in 6.99, 25 of Lex Lemon. They lead them off. The 6.99 in that brightly painted pink car with a good turn of speed. Once again, is going to take some catching. We're going to see who the first star is. It's for Jack Tesla in 440. He had a DNF in his first heat. Craig Finnegan out there in 55. And Bert de Vries in 20, who went very, very well yesterday evening, so nearly won the final. So far, has not produced that kind of form, and indeed he gets the turnaround treatment here. As you can see on screen, on turns 1 and 2, there was Karen Mois in 61 who sent him aside. And now he finds himself a whole lap behind. And this white and yellow grade pairing once again shoot clear. Jan Kuin in 6.99 and Lex Lemon in 25. And now leading the charge of the stars is Craig Finnegan in 55. Just as we saw yesterday evening, Craig's car seems to come alive around this track when it dries out. And he's taking slightly different lines to some of the local and or regular drivers around here at Blauwhuis as well, which doesn't seem to be doing him any harm. So 1 and 2 together, the white and the yellow top. Jan Kuin in 6.99. And 25 of Lex Lemon, there they are in shot as they go round turns 3 and 4 and down the home straight. And we go back to 152 in third place. Gert-Jan Klok in 152. And then it's the 410. He's next up. And that's Yellow Tesla. The Tesla's heavily involved in the Formula 1 stock cars. Again, local drivers from Fryslan. One of the Teslas has gone though. Jack Tesla in 440. Been a bit of a bad day for Jack Tesla in 440. And Craig Finnegan has gone on the back straight now. You didn't see that on screen, but Craig Finnegan has gone. He's rejoined but lost an awful lot of ground. And what can he make up from this one? He did finish outside the top 10 in his first heat. So Craig's success from last night not being carried forward into the racing here this afternoon. Meanwhile, deep in back markers here, and what do? Oh, there's a big crash on the back straights as the 855 car collected one of the marker tyres and then the ditch and then another marker tyre. And there he is, stranded there, up against one of them now. So Barry Mayers in 855, that was a wild moment, and the race leaders were right there at that time as well. And what does the white grade leader do about star graded back markers? That's what I was about to say. Well, what happens is that the blue graded 152 catches him and bumps him wide. So a change in the lead with 152. Gert-Jan Klok in the lead as they go down the back straight, down to second, 699. having led for so long. Jan Kuin, as the rain starts to just about fall again as well, but that would dampen the dust more than anything else. Just spits and spots falling outside of our commentary booth here. So 152, 699, 410, 25. That's the way they run. And no real star men getting in amongst them. In fact, they're back markers more than anything, as the 152 puts the lap back on 345, who is a star graded back marker. So Boyd Tesla in 345. Checker flag goes up and down then. It is going to be a win for 152. Looked like 410 made it through for second. So Gert-Jan Klock in 152. Jelle Tesla in second. And the very impressive white top, Jan Kuin in 699. He made it through for third place. So one of those stray showers that the weather forecast did say was going to come along. Rain is now falling outside, as you can see on the camera lens. Hopefully it won't be too much. It's not forecast to be too much. I think the weather here in the north of Holland is very similar to it as it is in much of the UK, certainly in England at the moment. Unseasonably cold. Just looking at the weather app on my phone, it doesn't look like it's going to be much, and there are basically just one or two shower clouds around, so it is going to dampen the dust more than anything else. Perhaps fair to say that the track won't need watering after this race. So Gert-Jan Klock in 152, winner of heat number 3 for the Formula 1 stock cars. And there's confirmation of that result. Gert-Jan Klock with a win in 152. Jelle Tesla in second in 410. Jan Kuin in third in 699. 25. Lex Lemin in fourth. And 591. Barry Borson in fifth. Could we be in for a surprise in the King's Battle Final this afternoon, the King of Dirt? Because the star grade so far this afternoon in the Formula 1 stock cars are really not getting in amongst a lot of these very, very good and competent white, yellow and blue graded drivers. Or is the cream going to rise to the very top in the big race later on? It'd be very interesting to see, because a lot of the drivers who were doing well yesterday evening are not doing so well this afternoon, and the vice versa is happening. It just goes to show, different day and everything changes. Certainly a big moment for Barry Mayers there in 8.55 on the back straight. The race, it happened right in front of the race leaders as well. They did very well not to get involved in that. But a wild ride for Barry Mayers in the 8.55 car. And he hit a marker tyre at the edge of the ditch, another marker tyre, and then found himself coming to a stop against another marker tyre. Probably safe to say he might well feel that tomorrow morning. Bit of a wild ride. Next up, it's the standards. When we first came to air at 1 o'clock Central European time, that is what was going round the track here at Blauwhuis. And they are next up. Now, Wout de Vries in 6.18 was very, very good yesterday evening, but he appeared to be having a bit of resistance in their first one of the afternoon. So a class that owes, it's probably fair to say, a lot more to autocross or autograss, autograss in the UK than the stadium oval racing. So the 622 car there, actually a late addition to the list. It's not Darren Bingley. But these cars might look small, but they have got a lot of horsepower under the bonnet, as you can see, when they get set away. And some of them go a little bit too deep into turns 1 and 2 and gave the plating quite a thump in front of our commentary booth, so much so that the earth moved. So 97 with the lead, ahead of 99. Dennis Sensabin in 99. 97 actually a late addition, don't actually have him on my list. But the one who went very well yesterday evening, 618's, Wiper de Vries. Not going so well in this one, with the track being a little bit wetter now. That shower has passed. And just as the previous shower, a couple of hours ago, it didn't do the track any harm at all. Just added a little bit of water to it, as we've seen with the natural, with the water truck going round. So Dennis Sinterbin in 99, side by side here. Off to Hoop in 97. And Dennis Sinterbin moves through into the leads. Good race here. 97 comes back at 99. But as you can see, a lot of horsepower carrying these cars into these bends around here. But 618's of Wiper de Vries really not discovering the form that he showed yesterday evening when he had a heat and final double, is a long way behind in his second heat this afternoon. For the standards, half a lap behind our race leader, which is 99, Dennis Sinterbin. Putting a lap back on the 609 car. And he takes it. So Dennis Sinterbin, he wins the second one this afternoon here at Blauwhuis for the standard class. Next up, it's heat number 4 for the Formula 2 stock car. It's going to be a little bit of break in continuity now for me, because I'm going to go and actually do a piece with the local television, in English, obviously. So we'll be back. I say there is going to be a bit of silence, but there obviously will be the stadium PA playing in the background, and we'll be back for heat number 4 for the Formula 2 stock cars.
Goed zo, Omrop nummer 2. We hebben
So cars on track for heat number 4 for the Formula 2 stock cars. This is the last chance for these drivers to get points on board to make sure that they are in this afternoon's feature final. Dave Polly in 38s for those watching over there in Britain is on track for this one. He was second in his first heat, so he's already got some good points on the board. Others out there, what, superstar flashing lights at the back? Well, we know him in the UK affectionately as Toonschut, but it's Ton Scott, I think, to pronounce his name correctly. But Toonschut has been racing Formula 2 stock cars since the 90s, and prior to that, of course, he was a super stock star way back into the late 80s, so very long career. Toon himself is a second generation driver, but we are underway for the fourth heat for the Formula 2 stock cars. Oh, a crash on the back straight. Several have come to grief, just out of shot at the moment. Yeah, I was going to say that is going to be a yellow flag. They have managed to get themselves all back going again. As the old saying goes, it's better to be safe than sorry. But all of those involved under the rules, of course, will find themselves excluded from the resumption. I think Marcel Summons in 159 was one of those who went on the back straights, and another one was a white grader. They were very swiftly back in. So, of course, as we know, the yellow flags closes everything up and allows those who started a little bit further back a chance to get in touch. First star, though, out of shot. First star to show very early on in this race is Dave Polly in 38. Immediately challenged, though, further back by Ton Scott in 30. But it's 501 who shoots into the lead at this restart. We saw him going very well earlier on. Nick de Border in 501. Daniel Van Spiker moves through into second place. He did not have a good night at all last night in 281. And it's not going very well this time either, as he's gone again, this time in a tangle with 272. So Daniel Van Spiker really had a good couple of days around here at Blauwhuis, but Max Commander there in 272 tangled up with Daniel Van Spiker, but it's 501. Nick de Border with the lead. Willie Coppers in 66 running in second place, and then we go back to third, which is the 259 car. Bumpers going in further back with the Battle of the Stars as Dave Polly goes in with a bumper on Barry Bauer in 116. Of course, Dave Polly had that great battle in the World of Shale at Bellevue at the end of last year with Patrick Tersteg in 47. Of course, Dave knows only too well how competitive the Dutch drivers are, particularly around here at Blauwhuis and on the shale and old dirt tracks. Oh, as Daniel Van Spiker's gone again out of shot on turns 3 and 4. He is back in. We seem to have lost the leader somewhere along the way here. I cannot find 501 all of a sudden whilst I was watching the action going on. Unless he is so far clear. I think that could be the case. Yes, we haven't lost him. He's just so far clear. Martin de Boer in 501. We'll double check that, though. It could be the 66 is the leader. If not, it could be Dave Polly in 38, side by side. This could well be the battle for the lead. I think 501 managed to, both out of my shot and out of screenshot, managed to go missing. This is the battle for the lead then. Dave Polly in 38, up on the inside of the very rapid white grader Willie Coppers in 66. So they go round turns 1 and 2. And Dave Polly in 38. Either 501 is so far ahead he's into next week, or Dave Polly is in the lead in 38. And I think it is Dave Polly in 38. Willie Coppers in 66, John Scott in 30, Barry Bauer 116, and then we go back to Sander Goose in 36, and Rick de Graaf in 335. So Dave Polly in 38, certainly our producer is following him as the race leader. But Willie Coppers in 66, look at him as the white grader. Keep him right with Polly here. And could he have a feather in his cap here and come back at Polly in 38? I should think Dave's probably quite bemused that he can't shake off this white grader. Yes, lap boards being shown to Dave Polly in 38. This is the battle for the lead. Dave Polly in 38 with this plucky white grader. 66 of Willie Coppers sticking right with him and goes in there for the hit and spins it around. So good effort there from 66. But this has allowed Dave Polly clear in 38. And with second place in his first heat and a win in his second, Dave is going to go in to the final this afternoon as the top point scorer. So he takes it then. Dave Polly takes heat number 4. Barry Bauer second in 1:16. It looked like 36, 3:35, 30 and 1:91. With 66 recovering next up. So Dave Polly in 38, Barry Bauer 1:16. Sander Goose in 36, Rick de Graaf in 3:35, Tuan Schutt in 30, and then 1:91 of Franzi Berhune, and then the 66 of Willie Coppers. But there we are, Dave Polly, great slow-mo shot there. Dave Polly in 38. One of 2 UK drivers racing here in the Formula 2 stock cars this week. Excellent effort though from 66 of Willie Coppers. As I said during the commentary of that one, I think Dave was probably quite bemused that he just couldn't shake off the white grade in 66. And then 66 Willie Coppers went for that lunge just a little bit too early perhaps, and then it didn't pay off in any case. But great effort nevertheless, that's what we like to see. See if we can get confirmation of that result. There we are. Interesting to see what Willie Coppers can do in the final later on. But there's confirmation of that result. David Polly with the win. 1:16 Barry Bauer in second. Third was 36 Sander Goose. Fourth 3:35 Rick de Graaf. And fifth 1:91 Franzi Berhune. And for info, just finishing outside of that 5 in the 6 was the recovered 66 of Willie Coppers. So Dave Polly, he's ended up the top point scorer from the Formula 2 stock cars, heading into the King of Dirt final later on, with second in his first heat and a win in heat number 2 for him. Well, Dave Polly, very, very busy. He'll be heading back to the UK tomorrow. Not sure where he's racing on Saturday. Could well be Mildenhall, but then he's going all the way down to Cornwall, St Day, to race on Sunday, and then racing at Bristol on Monday. Of course, St Day and Bristol tarmac tracks. And Dave Polly, the current UK national points leader, leading the grading points, I think we call it now. Of course, with the silver roof is set to be decided by the National Series later on in the year. Very similar sort of lines to the Formula 1 silver roof. Of course, number 7, Gordon Moody, the current national points champion and the holder of the silver roof under the old system. Of course, Gordon will have to qualify to be part of the National Series, but I think it's inconceivable that Gordon will not be part of that. It's looking highly likely because the top 2 in the World Championship qualifying points, i.e. the 2 pole sitters in the 2 World Championship semi-finals, will qualify for the National Series, and it looks highly likely with very good scores at home in Scotland last weekend for Gordon. It looks like that he will be, say, it would be unlikely now that he's not going to be on pole for a semi. There are still a few rounds to go, but I think it's the smart money. If you were going to put money down on this stage and say who you're going to have as the 2 pole sitters for the 2 semi-finals, I think one would be Liam Bentham. Of course, we've seen here racing at Blauwhuis today, and the other one would be Gordon Moody in 7. And if it is those two, then they go through to the National Series. Next up, heat number 4, the 4th and final heat for the Formula 1 stock cars. And then we move into the first of the day's finals for the junior final, the 1600 final, the rodeo final, the standard final, Formula 2 final, Formula 1 final, and then it all concludes with a bigger mess and a bang in the caravans. So currently 3 p.m. here, Central European time. On this chilly spring day in the north of Holland. Grading being done, as you can see, making the track in tip-top condition, just as it has been both yesterday and today for the Formula 1 stock cars. So far, the Formula 1 stock cars, we had Rick Roberts winning the first heat. Danny van Wamelen won the second heat. By then we were already on air. The first heat we didn't see on air was won by Rick Roberts in a dramatic conclusion, when Harman Swerver, who was leading, went in for a last bend lunge on Ron Krunder, who he thought was the race leader, but Ron was actually a lap down. Swerver went wide, and Rick Roberts came through on the inside and said, "Thank you very much." And he was the winner of heat number 1. Heat number 2, a bit more straightforward. Danny van Wamelen came through from the back to win that one. Heat number 3, we saw that not too long ago, and that was won by 152. Of Gert Jan Klok. So live GoPro in one of the cars in this race. Not sure who that was or is. Jan Roloff Rellingenbar would have said. Anyway, we're under starters orders for the 4th and final heat, with a terribly messy start there. Suffice to say that has been completely waved off by the starter. Red flag. So whether or not there's going to be a punishment dished out for someone there who caused that, it looked like it was just the case that it just... one of those starts, you get them from time to time. They just tumble off the edge of a cliff and just don't work, and that was one of those. Danny Wayman out there, for those watching in the UK, in this one in 2-1-2. Craig Finnegan has done his 2 heats, and Chris Clare we have not seen today. At least not on track. So green flag is down. The 4th and final heat for the Formula 1 stock cars is underway. Oh, there's 2 finder, and that's Harman Swerver, who so nearly won his first heat. Finds a marker tyre and the ditch, and has now fallen a long way down the order in 195. And we go to yellow flags, with 2 tangled up down there, and now being joined by others on the exit of turn 4. Oh no, more than that, we've got one on its side. I couldn't quite see that from my commentary position, but now I can. We've got a white top on its side, 143. So T. Helder in 143, up on his side. That's actually the first roll of the day in anything. We had, well, in fact, we may have had the roll earlier on with 61 and 2, but I think they just tangled up and just dearranged each other's aerofoils. I'm not 100% sure that they roll, but this is the first roll in the Formula Ones in any case. Had a couple of rolls last night, but T. Helder up on his side in 143, just being righted. But that has completely eroded the big lead that Gert Bard in 211. He found himself sent off for his part in the forced restart in his first heat. He had a good lead there, but that's been whittled down to nothing. So he's there in the lead in 211. 58 William de Boer running in second, and third, who was getting amongst them last night, showing good turn of speed, and that's Jaap Hemstra in 315. Gos Hekstra in 44. And then Rutger Volk in 27. First start, Ron Krunder in 217, defending title holder of the King of Dirt. Really got to do something to get a good place in this race, because he was well down the order, having had a tangle up in his first heat and ended up playing a part in the race, but not the kind of part that he probably really wanted to. When Harman Zwerver thought that Ron Krunder was leading but wasn't, went in with the last bend lunge on Ron, who was just merely a back marker trying to race his own race. But Ron, of course, vastly experienced driver, has used the R word for his retirement on more than one occasion, but keeps coming back for more. He's there in 217. Ironically, 452 is just being placed in front of him, and that's Willem Singer de Vries. Now, those two actually tangled up. They were the two that tangled up in their first heat, 452 and 217. So T. Helder's car in 143, and that gets taken back to the centre. Lo de Vries in 79. He was going well yesterday evening. He's out of this one as well. Back underway with the green flag. Bumpers go charging in. Willem de Boer on 50 and 58 on 211. But with a good turn of speed, once again, 211 shoots away. So Gert Bard in 211. Moving through into second place, Gos Hoekstra in 44. As we go back to yellow flags, and the old saying goes, yellow flags breed yellow flags. And Ron Krunder has gone again, and there's one right up on the plating over there. And Ron Krunder has tangled up again with his old friend 452. I can't quite pick out who the one on the plating is. At this stage, we can now, because we get the good camera shot there. 315. A classic case of the field being bunched up after the yellow flags. Bumpers go charging in, and it ends up in incidents that look very much like that. So Jaap Hemstra in 315. Up on the plating. And this is where the teleporters come in handy, because they can lift these big Formula 1 stock cars off of the plating like that after incidents such as we've just seen. So is Ron Krunder going to be able to restart in 217? If he can't, indeed he can. Of course, it's whether or not the steward deems he was the cause of the yellow flag. It would perhaps be unfair if that was the case, because the cause of the yellow flag is quite obviously 315. Stuck there on the plating, well and truly on top of 452 there. So suffice to say, bit of a recovery effort now, whilst we get the 315 car off of the plating. The track is being watered as well during this yellow flag. See folks, it's not only Kings Lynn that this happens, it's happening here as well. So Willem Sigurd de Vries in 4.52. Not much left of the outside front tyre, that is, outside front tyre. So he's gone to the centre, and 3.15, of course, is the cause of the yellow flag. Also to the centre. So Get Bard in 2.11 has led this one from the off, will continue to lead the restart. What you can't see on screen is he is actually following the water truck at the moment. There it is. The track being watered during this caution period. Popping up as the first star grader now is Danny Wayman in 2.12. Can he do what we just saw Dave Polly do in the previous Formula 2 race and come through and take a UK win? Going very well early on. Hopefully I haven't put the infamous commentator's curse on Danny Wayman in 2.12, because whilst I was talking to the local Dutch television prior to the previous Formula 2 race, I actually said that Danny Wayman could well win this afternoon's final. But he is going very well. So the water truck, that goes off, and we're back under starters' orders. Indeed, we are going to do another lap. It is going to be another lap. Led off by Gert Bard in 2.11. From Goss Hoekstra in 44. Danny Wayman there for 4th. Dirk Rodius in 5th, and Danny van Wammerland in 6th. So 3 star names chasing after the 2 blues and the white grade leader, who's doing quite a slow restart here, but it's his prerogative to do so. In fact, that was an excellently done restart from 2.11. Bumpers go in. Wayman gets sent wide in 2.12, but of course they've got a very different track now than they did before that yellow flag having been watered. I think, yeah, Wayman's going to come back. Grenadius there sent him and 2.11 and a rest wide. And Danny Wayman, what a move that was, from 5th to 1st in one corner. Fantastically done as they all slide wide once again. Challenged there by 44 of Goss Hoekstra, but Danny Wayman in 2.12 has now done all the hard work and has got that car into the lead, through to 2nd. In fact, through to 2nd with the bumpers going in. How about that for the yellow grader? Well done to 2.15, who pushes Danny van Wammerland wide there. So Albert Sigmar in 2.15 up into 2nd place, although 2.11 now comes back into 2nd place. All of this is allowing Danny Wayman clear in 2.12. Here he is in shot at the completion of another lap. Then we go back there to a shot of 2.28, who has got, I believe, our live GoPro on, if we get any pictures from that. Jan Riloff Ringenbar. Danny Wayman in 2.12. 2.28 comes through into 2nd place. Ron Krunder has made up a huge amount of ground recovering and is up now into 4th place, recovering from that crash. has got past Grenadiers, has got past Van Milan. As we go back to yellow flags. Back to yellow flags. Just looking out of the commentary booth as to see what the yellow flag is actually for. I know all you cynics in the UK are going to be thinking something. It could well be that they called it for 44, who rejoined in any case. But Danny Wayman had got away there and has now got 2-8 right on his back bumper. So Jan Rulov, Winging Bar. Apologies if I say that wrong. But there are some names I'm okay with, I think, but his is not one of them. Anyway, what can be done then? Danny Wayman in 2-1-2 has done all this before, knows the deal. In goes the bumper. 2-8 sends him out very, very wide. But Ron Krunder, 2-11's getting back in there as well. The white grader, in goes Wayman with the bumper. And unfortunately, I think Wayman had to do that business there. Really, that had to be done. Ron Krunder, though, he's gone in 2-1-7. So I think the chances of him defending the King of Dirt have gone down the dirt, to be honest. But Danny Wayman in 2-1-2 has had to really fight for this one now. Danny Van Wammerland up into second, still there for third. A very plucky white grader. We've seen some plucky white graders in both the Formula 1s and the Formula 2s. Gert Bard still there for third in 2-1-1. Then we go back as the bumper's still charging in up there. Tor, as goodness me, as Harman Swerver taken heavily into the plating down on turns 3 and 4. You just saw him there coming to rest. I think they're checking on his well-being. That was quite a knock. We seem to get the thumbs up from 195. As Danny Wayman in 2-1-2 still with the lead. Bumpers charging in behind. Danny Wayman has now found himself half a lap in the lead as Dirk Grenadiers now comes back into second in 29. 2-8 wrestling himself back up into third. In fact, Danny Van Wammerland is still there with Wayman. As 38 has spun, or is Van Wammerland there? I think he is. Apologies about that. I was watching the action further behind and missed Wayman ahead. But we're coming through with Danny Wayman in 2-1-2. Danny Van Wammerland in 47. An English Danny, a Dutch Danny, first and second. Then we go back to Dirk Grenadiers in 29. Then we go back to 2-8, 53, 2-1-5. I think Wayman's got this one covered now, as I said earlier on. He really had to wrestle this one back. Checker flaggers at the ready, and the fourth and final heat is going to go to Danny Wayman in 2-1-2. Fairly sure that Danny Van Wammerland is second in 47, third 29 Dirk Grenadiers as 2-8. Jan Rulov for Wedding Bar had quite a wild ride in that one. He certainly gave as good as he got, and he finishes against the marker tyre on the rundown lap. So 2 UK wins in 2 races there. Dave Polly in the fourth heat for the Formula 2s. Danny Wayman for the fourth heat for the Formula 1s. Not bad going when there's only actually 5 UK races here at Blauwhuis over this 2-day meeting. Only 4 of which are racing today. With regret, we haven't seen Chris Clare on track. But there's a man who gave it a very good go in that one, going in hard with the bumper. So indeed, Van Wammerland wasn't there. So Danny Wayman with the win. Quite why that says Craig Finnegan answered on a postcard. Dirk Grenadiers in second. Third was 53, Stefan de Jong. Fourth, 2-8, Jan Roloff, Wenningenbar. And fifth was 2-1-5, Albert Sikmar. So how on earth they've put Craig Finnegan there on the screenshot. I think that is literally just a typo from the TV company. But it's Danny Wayman in 2-1-2. He is the winner of heat number 4 for the Formula Ones. Right, we move into the finals next. It's the junior final. Obviously, there's going to be the usual track work. There is going to be a slight break in continuity now as well. I'm going to come off air for a couple of minutes. But Formula 2 Junior Final will be next. Then we get the 1600 Final, the Rodeo Final, the Standard Final. Then we move into the big events, the Formula 2 Final, the Formula 1 Final, and the Caravans. We're on air until 6 o'clock Central European Time, 7 o'clock UK time. Junior Final time now. The first of this afternoon's final here at Blauwhuis. Some good shots there of these young drivers as they sit there pensively waiting for their final race of the afternoon. 2 wins so far, or 2 different winners. The first was Klaas Jan Visser in 686. He won the very first race of the day. And the second was won by Nigel de Kock in 525. So under starters orders, got a live GoPro in one of the cars in this race as well. The 2 to watch most certainly. 686 Klaas Jan Visser and 525 of Nigel de Kock. They were streaks ahead of the rest in the second heat. Nigel actually in 525 he retired very early on in the first race, which we didn't show here on the live stream. It was the very first race of the day. So once again, a little bit slick out there on track, and 686 with an early problem. He collects 84 on the rebound there, and as that allowed 525 Nigel de Kock a little bit of a clear run here. Still an awful lot of laps to go, of course. And the initial lead is with 129. Tazali Grenadiers. So 129 down the back straight, 525 and 686 or 174 looks to rejoin. As we go to yellow flags with 2 against or 1 spun down on turns 3 and 4. It has rejoined, it was 2, it's now 1. Swiftly to the centre, knows the deal. So a live GoPro, as you can see there. So 174. Uki Fenstra. So Grudenus in 129 was holding off 525 there. And this has allowed 686 to get back on terms as well. So Klaas Jan Visser in 686, winner of the first heat. Did have a spin. Collected the unfortunate 84 on the rebound. We've lost Jorik van der Waal in 78. Who appeared to be sent off rather than going off of his own accord. There he is on screen, 78. So just to reiterate, if you are just joining us, these are the junior Formula 2s. They are to the same specification as the adult Formula 2s. The same cars, the same engines, everything else. The only difference is that these are non-contact for the young drivers. Certainly it's proving a very, very good grounding for Formula 2 stock cars and indeed Formula 1 stock car drivers of the future. Perfect example, Richard Volcano, who's just moved into the adult Formula 2 stock cars this year, only 16 years old. Haven't really seen much of him today up at the front like he was yesterday, or not so far anyway. We've still got the final to come, but he was giving a very good account of himself yesterday evening here. So back under orders. Side by side for seconds with Klaas-Jan Visser and Nigel de Kock, but still it is 129 who holds on to Zali Grenadius from Nigel de Kock in 525, and Klaas-Jan Visser has actually fallen back. We've got one stranded on the exit of yeah, we're going to have to go back to yellows, indeed we do, as Bas Spansen in 268 finds himself spread-eagled on the exit of turn number 2. There he is, and also, yes, can't see that from the commentary booth, but can now. Definitely would have been a yellow flag in any case, because the front wheel is party company with the car. So we've got Junior Mr. Starter. How cool is that they have a young junior starter that comes on and starts the juniors? Not totally unheard of course, because our two esteemed starters, particularly in the Midlands and the North tracks, James and Matthew, started very much as junior starters, now senior starters in their own right. Two who I work alongside with at my days working Inca race. Look there at 161. Mark Venstra. So yes, three wheels not going to work there for 268. That was the cause of the yellow flag. Well, that's why he couldn't move the car, which caused the yellow flag. So 129. Zali Grenadius leads off once again under pressure from Nigel de Kock in 525. Webby Fenstra has got in there now in 74, demoting 686 of Klaas-Jan Visser. So we're back under the green flags. And Webby Fenstra in 74 looks to the outside. It's who can find the traction, really, because unlike their adult counterparts, they can't go in with the infamous Formula 2 bumper. They have to drive inside or outside. And still 129 holds on in the lead from de Kock in 525. And then their battle going on behind. A little bit of use of the inside wheel guard there from 686 on 74. To go back up into third place indeed. But still, well, we didn't see this one coming from the early two races this afternoon. 129 never really featured as strongly as he is now. But Zali Grenadius in 129, as we move towards the closing stages of this junior final, is starting to get away here. And indeed 525 Nigel de Kock is falling into the clutches of Klaas-Jan Visser. So 129, then back to 525. As we spin her up on turns 3 and 4, they're going to come across Roy Peatham. Back with a live GoPro here, as you can see. 710 gets to safety. And 129 simply pulling away here. There's no more yellow flags. It's in the bag. 686. We've lost Nigel de Kock. He is gone in 525. So it's ended up being a relatively blank day for Nigel de Kock in 525, one of the front runners in the junior Formula 2s around here at Blauwhuis. Yes, he had a win. But the win then is gone for Zali Grenadius in 129. Very good win indeed. Second place went to 686 of Klaas-Jan Visser. and third looked like it went to Webby Fenstra in 74. We'll see if we get confirmation come up on the screen of that. Mouldy Old Doe randomly playing on the PA now. So there's confirmation then. Tazali Grenadius, the winner, 686. Klaas-Jan Visser in second. Nigel de Kock did actually come through for third in the end, so he must have been on the rundown lap. He went off. And then we had the 49 car of Klaas van Vieren. So as we saw there, the future of Formula 2 stock car racing is very, very strong here in the Netherlands. When you've got young drivers throwing these cars around like this before they get to the adult class. I mean, yes, we've got the National Mini Stocks, ORCI Mini Stocks, National Bangers in the UK, but I think racing the full spec Formula 2 stock cars prior to the age of 16 is certainly something really quite good. Just looking at slow-mos here. Of these cars going round, bear in mind these are all driven by under 16-year-olds. These are the juniors. Just doing a little bit of a lap of honour here before the presentation takes place. Why it's to Mouldy Old Doe, I don't know. Yes, I think the graphic that came up on screen wasn't correct, because it appears the presentation there, as you can see, with the TV cameras down there as well, but the presentation that you can see isn't the graphic that came up on the screen. I don't think Nigel de Kock was there. The third place was 74 of Webby Fenstra. Runner-up, 686, Klaas-Jan Visser, but the winner, with a very good win there for Tazali Grenadius in 129.
Nou, even kijken, de mannen zijn eruit. Krijgen we ons eerst hier naar voren. Hier de feeststraat, kom er even hier, jongen. Van harte gefeliciteerd, opgereden, toptijden, hele mooie derde plaats voor jou. Op de tweede plaats, Klaas-Jan Visser. Klaas-Jan heeft van harte gefeliciteerd, prima gedaan. Super gereden, net die eerste plaats. Nog even man van de 129. Zomer Fernandes. En de verslag, oh ja, hij moet ze kijken, natuurlijk.
So here's the winner on King's Day, both the PA and the local TV. So for the benefit of our viewers in the Netherlands, I'll just let you listen in here. Well, there's the throne I was telling you about. saw Dirt Grenadiers. And here's Junior taking the King of Dirt for the Junior Formula 2s.
Nou, de foto's zijn gemaakt. Hartstikke idee. Interviews die worden genomen. Het is allemaal net echt meer van RaRa-Racing. Of niet van RaRa-Racing. Oh, komt niet voor je interview? RaRa-Racing, je kunt alle foto's en filmpjes met de beste man het eerst weggaan. Om dit allemaal te vragen. Of niet, ja, ik moet toch een met de mensen jou, dan moet je Omrop Fryslan niet man.
Hij is toch een 4 jaar rechter geweest om de autocross op zo'n hoog niveau te krijgen. Ook bij Omrop dat hier vandaag te gast zijn. En dat we dus ook gewoon thuis live kunnen genieten van de autocross.
Ja, dat is heel speciaal natuurlijk. We hebben het nog vaker meegemaakt. Maar dan kleine stukjes natuurlijk altijd even daartussen. Maar nou echt vanmiddag van 1 tot 6 gaan ze doen nog van 1 tot 5.
1 tot 6. Dat met de kerfcross, die wordt ook nog live uitgezonden. Dus heel veel dank aan Omrop Fryslan dat we vandaag aanwezig zijn.
Ja, dat is prachtig mooi. Het goede natuurlijk aan de sport. De racerij hier op het verband natuurlijk zoals het gevoerd wordt. Ja, prachtig leuk is dat we vandaag blij zijn. Nou, de nodige interview natuurlijk voor de King of Dirt. Zorg voor mensen. Ik zou zeggen, heren, even maar even de feestkaart. We hebben hier vandaag geweest zijn de feestkaart. Het is waar, want ze hebben daar trots aan natuurlijk. En van een eerdere wonderlijke rij met de 2 heel mooie dames die er verschrikkelijk koud uitzien. Ja, niet ook het proberen aan, want op natuurlijk zo bij zo'n we zeggen we ook wel eens. Nou, willen maar, ze gaan er de King of Dirt op de voorhand en Ruwen. En klaar is op de hele Camino. Ja, zeker. Het lijkt me goed. Hij is wel zelf vermogen gaan hier bij de Kingsbattle Blauwhuis mee. Prachtig mooi. De autocross die naar het hogere niveau gedragen. Foto's. Dat lijkt me prachtig gewoon. Oh. Super. Even vasthouden. En je hebt ook vasthouden natuurlijk, want er staat heel mooi naast in. Dus dan kun je in een andere winkel. Ja, zo kan ik nog even netjes zeggen. Hier gaan we volgen waar de Klaas en Visser en Wierbegeestra over een hele mooie prestatie van deze heren. Dames en heren, schrijf een fantastische verhaal. De winnaars van de finale van de Formule 1 junioren.
As you see, lap of honour taking place for the main events this afternoon. And the juniors there putting on a very fine show in their 3 races on Kingsbattle Day 2017. A lot of those drivers set to become quite names in the future, I would say, in both the Formula 1s and the Formula 2 stock cars, not only here in the Netherlands, but probably over in the UK as well. Seems that Race Control have put a UK rolling lap music CD on and are just letting it play by the sounds of it.
Ja, zeker. De prestatie van deze man hoor. Hij deed het voortreffelijk de hele dag. Hij heeft allerlei keren om een beetje samen te leiden. King of Dirt 2017, zelfde dames. Klaas is er met heel mooi tweede en op de 3e plaats is het Wierbegeestra. Proberen om de hemmers weer te halen en dan gaan we weer snel door. Nou, we hebben daar een kleine beetje denk ik tussendoor. Mocht er nog terugspelen zijn, bijvoorbeeld de knopje achter de tribunes, die zijn kleine kinderen, dus vrees even terug hier bij de jury voor.
Next of our finals lining up now, we're actually up to race number 18 on today's 23 race programme. It's the FAC 1600 final. You could actually turn Rinky Dink off now, chaps. I did say that on open mic. Right, anyway, back to the plot. These cars, as you can see, if you didn't join us earlier on, if you are just joining us, because obviously you are going to be joining us, dipping in and out of this, I would have thought, other than sitting and having a full broadcast online. The cars you see on track for their final of the day, they're the most production-based cars that run on this track, have been part of the programme since the early days. VWs, Opels, Seats, Toyotas, they're the most common brands, all on a limited engine capacity of 1600cc, hence the title FAC 1600s. Contact between the cars is allowed, but no rough stuff. It's merely to move cars out of the way for positions into the corner. So very much like the contact that we see mainly in the Formula 1s and the Formula 2 stock cars. And they have a standing start, and they've had 10-lap heats, but this will be a 14-lap final for them. And they've put on two very good races so far this afternoon. In fact, they put on very good racing yesterday evening as well. Two good races, though, so far this afternoon, one of which we saw on the stream, one of which we didn't. The first one, that was won by Jordi Tenkate in 25. The second one was won by Hay Schneider in 87. Arjen Visser there in 191. Good shot of him set on the grid as we get the green flag via the standing start. The final for the FAC 1600s is underway. But it isn't though. That's the trouble. We've had one staller at the back. And they do finally heed the yellow flags just as they get to the scene of said staller. Can't quite pick out who it is from here. Black and yellow one. If we get a shot on the screen. So 225. Christian Veselius. Christian Veselius. So they're going back to the pits, and it would appear that they need to be regridded because the starter, as you might have seen there, was holding up a grid to them, and to be regridded, I think they need to go back to the pit lane. So what appears to be happening, this is I'm only saying what I see, and I see what you see basically here on this stage. They're probably going to swap the rodeo final because the rodeos are all lined up in the pit lane. So they'll swap the rodeo final round with the 1600 final rather than regrid them out on the track, because of course we are up against time, because not only is it the time for the meeting, we've also got time for the TV coverage as well, which comes off air at 6, and they want to get certainly the big races in and the caravan race
meet dan de vlak weer aansluit. Wat er precies aan de hand is, weet ik niet, maar... Wel wat verteld, Romeo's op de baan, vlak zal hem even aansluiten. Hartstikke idee.
So just for those of you in the Netherlands watching, just thought I'd dip into the stadium PA there. It appears that is what's happening, is that the rodeos are being brought on. They'll re-grid the 1600s and they will come back on after this rodeo race. So we switch to the rodeo final then. So the rodeos, a variety of cars, anything from a Ford Granada to a Mondeo, VW Golf, almost anything is allowed as long as it has 6 cylinders. And there are a few of those who race these cars in the bangers as well. Bangers, of course, very, very popular at Emmen on the other side of the Netherlands. And I say the other side of the Netherlands, it's not too far away. Commentator now appears to be singing along to said music that he's playing. So we've swapped races 18 and 19. So we're still on race 18. It was to be 19, it's now 18. It was 19, it's now 18. So Robert van Dijk just being handed a set of goggles in 289. Shot there on screen of Patrick de Jong in 327 and 316 of Silk Youngblood, who took quite a knock against the plating in the second heat. The first aid has checked him over, but it's good to see that he's back out there again in 316. So 397 there at the front. We saw him win heat number 2. Cyber van der Vaal. And it looks like we've game on at the back as well. Marco Jenningaard in 21. Perhaps slightly caught out by the race being moved slightly forward. Certainly well used, that car of 21. Banger racing terms, that would be known as a Jurassic. Of course, these are rodeos, they're not bangers. They might look like bangers, and there are some of these drivers who do race in the bangers as well. But like I say, it is just a nudge and spin form with some big cars for some good racing. And they put on a good show both yesterday evening and this afternoon. And it continues straight away there with a bit of a clash between 221 and earlier race winner 397 as they all go bounding into the first turn, and they all go bounding, or some of them, into the plating as well. So I think we've lost 397, certainly not going to win this one. Cyber van der Vaal. 316 has ended up in the same position he did as in the previous race as well, so not good for 316 of Silk Youngblood. Oh, and 221 of H. Nielsen, heavily collected there on the back straight. You could almost see that was going to happen with 221 of H. Nielsen. It was 393 who collected him. Dickie Van Dam. I don't think 221 is actually too happy with what happened there.
Nou, die worden er ook weer weggehaald. En dan gaan we zo meteen weer.
So I think the discussion going on there between 221 out of his car and the clerk of the course over that one. I think it was there. I see 221 go in there. Let's see if we're going to get any coverage of what actually happened next. No. They're just going to making the track clear then. So 397. Simon van der Waal, winner of the second heat, certainly not going to win the final this afternoon because he is out. So the race lead now looks like it's with 321. Hey and Dirk Vellemar. And 43, who we saw going very well in the second heat. He's there for second. And 327, Patrick de Jong, is there for third. So we go for the resumption in this afternoon's final for the rodeos.
Nou, zoals te zien staat iedereen die de liefst met de zoeken heeft op de baan niet mooi achter de hekken. De man die toe zijn in de klaarvallen. We gaan weer beginnen met de finale winst hier van de rodeo voor zijn vak 1600, maar zit er nog verder aan, die moeten hier aan.
So green flag is back down. The rodeo final is back underway. With Dirk Vellemar leading them off. 3 abreast down the back straight. As you can see, they're in the back of the shot. Oh, they're going to make it round the bend. They do. Nice wide bends here, of course, at Blauwhuis. 3-2-1. Dirk Vellemar. With the lead from 43. And we go back to 226, who's running in third place. Late addition to the list. 3-2-1, Dirk Vellemar. Still holding sway. Close in second though, with 43 and 226. And 226 looking very, very sprightly here. Reeling in 3-2-1. 43 has gone. 2 front flat tyres by the look of it in 43. Has just come to stop just across from our commentary position. Bumper goes in from 21 on 355, some way back. As these battles go on. As first and second somewhat serenely at the front, and here they come at the completion of another lap. 321 and 226. They're the front two. You see them on screen there. Hein Dirk Vellemar. And second place, one whose name I sadly don't have. So the rodeo's in front of a very large crowd, as it is here now at Blauwhuis this afternoon. And it's very close in this rodeo final. 321 and 226. 226 certainly within striking distance, as you can see on screen as they go round 1 and 2 and down the back straight. Heading into turn 3 and round 4 to start the last lap. Two cars tangle up ahead of them. Oh, and they're still getting, this is where they're all going to get caught up here. 321 picks its way, and this is where it's won and lost, and 21 now joins in as well. But it all came right on that very last corner, and 226 has actually lunged for the wrong blue car, and it is going to be 321 who takes it. Hein Dirk Vellemar, a classic case. It's never over until it's over. And 226, you could see his game plan there, but then two cars tangled up right ahead of them, and then everything changed, and unfortunately he then lunged at the wrong blue car. So not the first time this afternoon that we've seen a last bend lunge at the wrong car, but nevertheless a good win there in the King's Day final for the rodeos for 321 Hein Dirk Vellemar. I think 226 made it through for second place. So there's the confirmation of the results. Hein Dirk Vellemar with the win. René Wagenaar actually in second place in 226. Finally get a name to him. 355 through for third. That was Jitsi Tetsborough. 21, Marco Jenninger, who only just made it to the field, in fourth. So that's the way they ended up, with 321, 226 and 355. So once again, there will be the on-track presentation by the look of it, and we will dip into the stadium PA so that those of you in the Netherlands can pick up what's being said. Don't forget, if you are still watching, wherever you are, whether you are in the Netherlands, whether you're in the UK, you can tweet me at ascribe. Tell us what you think of the coverage here at Blauwhuis this afternoon, as it's going out on live local television and also this live internet stream as well. Next up, of course, it's how we were, because we go back to the 1600 final, the FAC 1600s, as we saw them have a false start. They needed completely regridding, but as the rodeos were already gridded up in the pit lane, basically they went back into the pit lane to be regridded, and the rodeos were brought on. So therefore the programme doesn't get delayed. And after this one, we get the standards in their final, and then we move into the three big ones, really, of the day. The Formula 2 final for the King of Dirt will be first, then the Formula 1 final for their King of Dirt, and then we round out the day with the Caravan race.
Nou, zo is het, want is iedereen er weer klaar voor, dames en heren. Seizoenhouders op de baan, max 1600, 1200.
Let's hope they'll get away this time then for the second attempt at the FAC 1600s. And their final, indeed they are all away. And not only that, they've made it round turns 1 and 2 as well. So Jordi Tenkati won the very first race of the afternoon for them. He leads them off. Ahead of Jaap van der Velde in 185. And the other one to watch, of course, is the other race winner so far this afternoon, Hay Snyder in 87. So 25 from 185, 51 actually in third place, Peter Medemer. And these two starting to stretch clear now, first and second. 87 has moved through into third place. Oh, it's a clash between the two. Oh, it's goodness me. The battle for second place sees the 185 car right up in the air, right up on the plating and up onto his roof. So 185, Jaap van der Velde, in his efforts to try and take the lead, it went completely wrong and he ends up upside down, as you can see. So straight to yellow flags for all the obvious reasons. They're just checking on his well-being. He should be all okay in there. It's quite risky, of course, rolling over as being the second car in the pack with the rest of the pack coming towards him, but it looks like they all missed him. And it looks like we've also got the thumbs up. So they'll put the car back onto four wheels and we'll have another go at getting underway in this 1600 final this afternoon. So more shots of the somewhat chilly crowd here in Friesland. If you look on a map, we're actually on the same latitude here as Skegness. And in fact, looking across that shot there, as you can see, there's not a lot of difference between the view across Lincolnshire and Friesland. Very, very similar. Once upon a time, many, many years ago, of course, they were joined. Of course, a lot of this area was reclaimed from the sea. There's a lot of similarities between this area and Lincolnshire and the Fens and that kind of area, East Anglia. And we are on that same latitude as Skegness, complete with the same bracing wind off the North Sea as well. Of course, you are in the UK, bank holiday weekend coming up, and if you are in that East Coast area, there will be racing at Skegness, probably Sunday and Monday. Of course, Skegness now under the ownership and promotorship of the legendary Rob Speak and his wife Asher. And I'm actually looking forward to working there in a couple of weeks' time for the F1 UK weekend. If you are going to that, I'll see you there. What is always a very good weekend for the Formula 1s. Formula 2s and national mini-stocks also on the bill. And then, of course, in the summer, we get the big UK speed weekend for the Formula 2s, the saloon stock cars, where the Formula 1s are on as well, in a supporting role, but play an important role nevertheless. And that is always one of the highlights of the summer. But back to today, here on the live stream at Blauwhuis, and it's back to the FAC 1600s. They even have standing restarts, as you can see. Not a bad idea, actually. So Jordi Tenkati, the leader, just as he was before the off. Did he pick up any damage, though, in that tangle with 185? Because he was certainly involved in that. 185 rode up the back of him and then rode off the back of him into the plating and onto his roof. But it's whether 25 picked up any damage. .191 running in second place now. Arjen Visser. And looking a lot faster, actually, it must be said. Here's the 1-2. Heading into turns 1 and 2. He sends him out wide and out into the deep, out towards the plating. 25 didn't actually quite hit it, so a change in lead with Arjen Visser in 191. Oh, and 25 is now being challenged further back as well. And Arjen Visser stretching clear here in 191, sorry. Second place now is Lawrence Arrington in 6. So our previous two winners are falling towards the midfield now. They're side by side further back, 87 and 25. I think 25 did pick up some damage in that tangle that caused the 185 car to take a tumble on the back straight. Just doesn't seem to be handling anywhere near like it did. It looks like the outside rear is damaged. Of course, relatively short races for the 1600s. This is a 14-lap final, but we're already inside the lap boards for Arjen Visser in 191. A good lead here ahead of 6 and 51. Lawrence Andringer in 6, 51 Peter Medina. That's the 1, 2 and that's the 2 and 3. The 1 heading towards the line, checker flag at the ready. and it goes to 191. Very good win there. Shunted out his challenger 25, Jordi Tenkati at the restart, and 191 Arjen Visser takes it. 6 of Lorenz Anninger, probably a name I've just mispronounced, apologies there, in second. There's confirmation of the result. Arjen Visser with the win, Lorenz Anninger in second, Peter Miedema in third, 24 in fourth place. And that was Riens Pesema. So I didn't appear to have a crew down there on this occasion, but I did let you drop into that. If you are listening in the net, watching and listening in the Netherlands, just listening to the presentation as it takes place on the centre. The track being graded and watered, as you can see, ahead of the next race, which is for the standard final. And then we move into the Formula 1 and Formula 2. So if standards not your thing, you want to make it go away and make a cup of afternoon tea over there in the UK, and we'll be back for the Formula 2 first final and then the Formula 1 final, which will be up after the standard final. So here they come, as you can see on screen, the 1, 2 and 3 on their lap of honour. In the 1600s, Arjen Visser with the win, second Lorenz Anninger, and third was 51 Peter Miedema. Now, if you're watching in the Netherlands, you will know what the flag is. Of course, the Dutch all have their own regional flags. The Fryslan flag very visible on a lot of the cars. But the winner of this one, that's not the Fryslan flag. If you are in the Netherlands, do drop me a tweet just to explain what that flag is, what area our race winner is from in 191. Much the same really as I suppose we see in the UK, because not only have we got the Cross of St George for England, the Cross of St George, we've got the Welsh Dragon for Wales. You do see the flag of Northern Ireland as well, with the red hand in it, and also the flags of Devon and Cornwall, which aren't official flags. I'm sure a few of my friends in the southwest will probably chase me out of town for saying that they're not official, but they're actually not. But you do see the green and white cross in Devon, and of course the black and white cross in Cornwall. So I think it's much more important to the Cornish, the flag. I think Devon just sort of developed their flag down there simply because Cornwall had one. So lap of honour complete for the FAC 1600s. Like I say, next up it's the standards. And if you do want to go and make your afternoon tea, 3:30 it is in the UK, 4:30 in the Netherlands. If you do want to go and make your afternoon tea and then come back and enjoy the brisker finals as we would know them, Formula 2 stock cars, Formula 1 final, Formula 1 stock car final, they will be after this next race. They've definitely got that music on a loop, haven't they? The rolling lap CD. Got some familiar sounds of Rinky Dink, which is essentially the Formula 2 rolling lap music these days. It was once upon a time heavily used for the Formula 1s, has sort of become the de facto Formula 2 rolling lap music now. The Formula 1s tend to have fanfare for the common man as their rolling lap music, except for in Scotland, I suppose. Cowdenbeath, they still have fanfare for the common man for the Formula 2s there. But I think someone must have passed the commentary booth, the PA commentary booth here a UK rolling lap CD, and they're just playing it randomly, which is good to hear the tunes in any case over here in the Netherlands. We could get into the whole debate about rolling lap musics, but they are very much part and parcel of it, particularly in the UK. I think the Dutch fully appreciate that as well. I don't ever envisage a time where rolling lap musics are not used. It's just simply part of it. For instance, Coronation Street with its own theme tune, EastEnders with its own theme tune, Match of the Day, instantly recognisable. And the fact that Mouldy Old Dough has become the music for bangers. I think my niece and nephew were about 2 years old. They immediately recognised what was racing music and what wasn't. It's all part of it. It's all part of the tradition. So like I say, I just don't ever envisage a time where they're taken away, and I totally disagree with those who meddle with the rolling lap musics as well. It's showing a total disregard to the history of the sport in some ways, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion nevertheless. So last one of the day for the standards. These have put on a trio of good races this afternoon. Well, I haven't quite had the third yet, but I'm sure this will be good. They were good last night. Trio of good races last night. For the standards, a formula like nothing else that we see on the ovals in the UK, but they do have very much similar origins to autocross, really. And of course it was autocross or autocross type racing that this track here at Blauwhuis staged for many years. The Formula 1 stock cars came along a lot later, and the Formula 2 stock cars really are quite new to it. Dennis Sinterman it is who leads in 99. 618, Wibby de Vries. Went very well yesterday evening. Heat and final double it was. Didn't seem to get it going at all well in heat number 2. Not that great in heat number 1, but much better in the final. Chasing after 99. So here we are on screen, 99 and 618. Then we go back to 654 of Mark Kriegel. A lot of horsepower under the bonnets of these cars, so much that taking them into the corners is a lot easier said than done. The horsepower in what are relatively light cars just wants them to drift out wide. And 618, can he make it 2 finals in 2 days around here at Blauwhuis? '99 may have other ideas though, Dennis Sinterman. All went wrong there for Danny van der Straat in 38. Whacked one of the big tyres here in front of the commentary booth. You'll just see him out wide there, just past the big screen, which is showing the pictures that you can see as the leader passes him, and he comes to a stop. He has now got it moving in 38. Got Webby de Vries in 618. Starting to scratch clear now, pulling away from 99, who in turn has got 654 closing in on him. But there we are in the screen as we complete another lap for Webby de Vries in 618. The crowd looking on. Can he make it 2 wins in 2 days? Starting to look like it could well be the case. inside the lap boards. Very short races for these classes, of course. 1, 2 and 3, they're not too far away from each other, but I think 618 has just got clear enough. It's whether or not 654 can get hold of 99 for second. So Webby de Vries in 618. His second place is certainly up for grabs. The 654 of Mark Kriegel has now got right with 99 of Dennis Sinsben. Last lap then for 618. Looking like he is going to make it 2 finals in 2 days here at Blauwhuis in the standards. Down the back straights for the last time. What went wrong for him in the second heat? He was a long way behind, but back in front. 2 finals in 2 days then for 618. Webby de Vries, second place. It was close, but he hung on for second. Dennis Sinterbin in 99, and third was 654 of Mark Kriegel.
De vrije zondag schudden zich aan gereed houden. Zometeen natuurlijk de Formule 2 stokhuis. Formule 2 stokhuis schudden zich aan gereed houden. Zij komen hier zometeen de baan op. Nou, gaan we de prijsuitreiking even doen.
So once again it will be presentation to the top 3 this time in the standards.
Mocht nooit, maar ja, omdat ze nou 1 keer die klasse uitnodigen, weet ik het niet hoe het met de regels zit. Wat die Volvo uit Texel, die heeft ook een turbo. Het kan ook zijn dat ze er even andere laten. Hij heeft ook jarenlang niet gemogen.
Nou, eens even kijken, volgens mij is hij zo langzamerhand uit. De 99 van de meter is uit in de centrum. Ja, dit is compleetheid. Nou, dan gaan we de prijsuitreiking beginnen. Op de derde plaats. Inderdaad, in de derde plaats, Mark Kriegel. Mark van der Oren. Als je even aan de vloer zit, hele races laten zien. Fijn dat jullie hier trouwens even halen. Op de tweede plaats, Dennis Sinterbin. Hij komt er net bij gaan met de show. Aan de vloer zit. En hij deed het op super het hele weekend vieren. We hadden gefeliciteerd de winnaar van de vrije zondag hier bij de Kingsbattle de Vries. Wie weer gaan op de gele stoel zitten, de King of Gold stoel. Dan hadden we de nodige positieve vermaking. Super. Nou, die hier even te gast waren natuurlijk, de vrije zondagklasse, toch prachtig mooi om hier even te zien. Er is nog andere races, hier bij de Frank zijn ze niet aanwezig, maar bij King of Gold weekend zullen we zeggen, dan zijn ze er al wel. Nou, alle foto's zijn weer gemaakt naar de keren. Nou, ik zou zeggen, even mee op de feestkar. De eeuw is erom natuurlijk.
So once again, listening to the presentation there in Dutch for those of you watching in the Netherlands.
En als de dag afsluiten, ja, hebben we het nog vaker gehad. Maar dan krijgen we de caravan race.
This time, the winner is from the local Fryslan. It's not easy to say, Fryslan region. It is second time around. It's a local winner. He's got the local flag this time. Of course, on what is a very important day for the Netherlands today. So they've all got their local pride at stake as well. And it's a local winner in the standards this afternoon. 2 finals in 2 days for him as well. Webby de Vries, he will be round, as you can see, on his lap of honour in front of the screen. Runner-up, 99, Dennis Sinterbin. And third was 654 of Mark Kriegel.
Ja, dan hebben we volgens mij nog een aantal inschrijvingen voor de caravan-cross. Waar ik volgens mij iedereen zich wel gebeld wel, maar mocht je nou niet gebeld worden voor de caravan-cross en ingeschreven, kom dan nog even hier naartoe. Want dat is natuurlijk de bedoeling wel. Even je inschrijven voor die caravan-cross. Nou, gaan we snel door naar de volgende finale. Formule 2. Rijden over 20 rondes. Formule 2. We rijden over 20 rondes. Dus ze staan er volgens mij allemaal aan voor.
Formula 2 final gridding up in the pit lane. You'll see those on track in a minute. Points on heats, not going to be a graded order start. Points on heats determine how they line up. Great overhead shot there. As it happens here at Blauwhuis. There they are in the pit lane, Formula 2 stock cars for their feature final. Well, 47. Danny van Melaan is simply there ahead of the Formula 1 final.
Jazeker, de man die er vorig jaar rond ging op de 2016 natuurlijk was Wim Peters. Hij won vorig jaar de Rijnmers. De Worldmaster, hij was er eerder op nog even rijden. Hij moet de wijken erin leveren.
Here he is, world champion. Wim Peters. Wim Peters driving the car. Wim Peters going to find himself some way down the order in this, because that DNF in heat number 2 cost him dear. Here they come out, gridded up, pole position. Can't quite see it on screen yet, but they're coming out of the pit lane now. There you go, you do see it on screen now. Dave Polly on pole position. Can he take this back to the UK? Second last year to Wim Peters. Martin van der Waal on his outsides. His speed, his experience belies his yellow roof, particularly around his local track. Colin Schutter in 9.29, and on the outside of the second row, Patrick ter Steg in 47. Are we going to have a rerun of the World of Shale at Bellevue? And that came down between Dave Polly in 38, Patrick ter Steg in H47. If you wonder why Patrick ter Steg in H47 is aerofoil, if you do see it on screen, is somewhat bland. Well, he rolled over it last night. He had an emphatic heat win, won his heat by quite some way, but then in the Grand National last night, he actually took quite a roll. And that's why he's got to... It's good to see it's painted in the grading colour rather than coming out in plain silver. Had the spare all there, but not actually been sign written up. So pole position for Dave Polly in 38. Current UK points leader in the Formula 2 stock cars. Has raced an awful lot of meetings up and down the UK and over here in the Netherlands during the week. Then heads back home, of course, tomorrow, or later on tonight, quite possibly even. And he's booked a race, not 100% sure he's booked a race on Saturday, but Milton Hall, his local track, whether he goes and has a run there, but he is booked to appear way down in the far southwest, the most southerly of all of the UK tracks, St Day in Cornwall, and then at Bristol on Bank Holiday Monday, May Day Monday. But back to today, like I say, could this be a rerun of the World of Shale last year at Bellevue, when it was a great battle between Dave Polly and Patrick ter Steg? It went in favour of the Dutchman. Dutch drivers took the two biggest races staged on the Shale last year. On the third row, another one to watch in this, certainly Michael Schutter in 1.29, Ron van Vamelen in 3.05, and he's not too far back given a DNF, and he's certainly going to be in contention. 1.24 of Wim Peters. Here we are then, the conclusion of the day, the conclusion of this 2-day, a weekend in the week if you like, for the Formula 2 stock cars. For the King of Dirts, a good start there from Dave Polly in 38 to shoot into the lead. A backwards facing GoPro there on one of the cars. Dave Polly out wide though on turns 1 and 2. Colin Schutter gets up on his inside in 9.29. Polly to the outside. Martin van der Waal in with the bumper. Wim Peters in with the bumper on Patrick ter Steg. And Colin Schutter out wide, and that's allowed Martin van der Waal to get back in the lead, and Wim Peters up into second place. So it's where they can find the traction early doors in this final for the Formula 2 stock cars, and Wim Peters in 1.24. Polly in with the bumper then on Michael Schutter in 1.29 on Martin van der Waal. He needs to do that because he needs to get back on terms with the world champion Wim Peters in 1.24. So Wim Peters 1.24, Dave Polly 38, Colin Schutter in 9.29. Side by side with Michael Schutter in 1.29, who now goes back up into third. But Wim Peters in 1.24, starting to pull clear. Dave Polly in 38, Michael Schutter in 1.29. Is as we were a year ago in this race, with Dave Polly running in second place. Martin van der Waal, his good day is going to come to nothing. You just see him there in screen. He's had a spin and he rejoins right at the back of the pack, with Wim Peters stretching clear in 1.24. Dave Polly actually moved back to third. Michael Schutter has moved into second place now in 1.29. Dave Polly dropping back. Patrick ter Steg in fourth in 47. Rick de Graaf in 3.35 and Barry Bauer in 1.16. But simply pulling clear here. Wim Peters in 1.24. This is ominous for Formula 2 stock car racing. If Wim can find this sort of form in the World Final in September around Kings Lynn, which he cites as his favourite track of all, that's bad news for the rest. With Wim Peters in 1.24, Michael Schutter in 1.29, Dave Polly is simply falling back in 38. He's now been passed by Patrick ter Steg in 47. Oh, there's a clash here as Barry Bauer goes in with 66. And Daniel Van Spijker has gone as well, and 7.99, so they all go pummeling in just in front of our commentary booth on turns 1 and 2. Ron van Wammelan has retired in 3:05, just out of shot as well. So I didn't really see what that was all about between Willie Coppers in 66 and Barry Bauer in 1:16. Potentially more to it than met the eye, but they've kept going and rejoined. Meanwhile, back to the race. The 1, 2 and 3 stretched out. Wim Peters, there he is in shot, completing another lap in this Formula 2 stock cars King of Dirt final on Kingsday here in the Netherlands. And it's a Dutch world champion leading one of the biggest races in the Dutch calendar for Formula 2 stock car racing. Still there for second, Michael Schutter in 1:29, Patrick de Steeg for third in 47, Dave Polly in 38, Rick de Graaf in 3:35, 9:29 of Colin Schutter, and then still hanging on in there, the yellow grader of 2:72, Max Commandeur. Then we go back to Francie van Hoon in 1:29, sorry, 1:91, don't know where I got 1:29 from, 1:91, and Tun Schutt in 30. There's Francie Verhoeven in 1:91. Now back to our race leader, 1:24 of Wim Peters. Perfect example of the junior Formula 2s. That's where Wim cut his racing teeth. Also raced a junior rod class at Posterholt. Wim Peters, of course, son of Willie Peters. Himself a world champion back in 2005. The only father and son pairing of world champions in Brisker Formula 2 stock car racing, the Peterses. And Wim Peters simply leading them on a merry dance here. Michael Schutter there for second in 1:29. Patrick de Steeg in 47. Of course, Wim Peters, for those watching in the UK, might be a Dutchman leading a Dutch race, but the equipment, that all comes from England, all comes from the UK. The car built by Randall Motorsport there in Wisbech. The engine tuned up in the UK as well. Not the case for second. Michael Schutter, that's a self-built car running the Z-Tech engine as well, which is the engine of the future in Formula 2 stock car racing. And certainly going very well on the shale, and not only here in the Netherlands but also in the UK as well, and Michael Schutter proving that it certainly can be very much competitive. There for second, and for third, the gap coming down slightly between second and third, but not really enough. Fourth, having a bit of a lonely race now, Dave Polly in 38. Checker flags though, Wim Peters takes it in 1:24, Michael Schutter for second, Patrick de Steeg for third, and Dave Polly comes through for fourth place. When he started on pole position, it was very difficult to get the setup right around a track that you don't race at too often. Is it going to be slick? Is it going to be dry? Well, it started very slick and then dried out very, very swiftly. And the one who simply showed them the way to go, defending the title, 1:24, Wim Peters, Michael Schutter for second, and Patrick de Steeg for third. Dave Polly through for fourth. Once again, there will be the presentations taking place. So celebratory donuts from Wim Peters in 1:24. The rear-facing GoPro is actually on the Richard Falconer car in 1:41. We're going to be hearing an awful lot more about Richard Falconer in 1:41. Only 16 years old, made the move from the juniors to the seniors this season. Showed up very well yesterday night in 1:41. Hasn't really done so today, but like I say, there's some big days ahead for Richard Falconer in 1:41. So the driver from Nijmegen, as proficient on the shale as he is the tarmac, and vice versa. Of course, it is a Dutch speed week to a certain extent. And the Formula 2 stock cars have another 2 days coming up on Saturday, Sunday this coming weekend at Venray. So there's confirmation of the result then. Wim Peters with the win, Michael Schutter second, Patrick Testeg third. You're going to see those three in a minute. Dave Polly for fourth in 38, and fifth was 989 of Colin Schutter. But nevertheless, Dave Polly, only 2 UK Formula 2 stock car drivers here over the 2 days. Liam Bentham, I think it promised a lot more than it delivered in the end. He was going well, but I think the car let him down on more than one occasion. I think we've only seen him in one race this afternoon. Didn't make it out for his second heat, and suffice to say, didn't qualify for the final as a consequence. But Dave Polly certainly had a very good couple of days. UK points leader. Just missing out on the podium on that occasion. So it's 2 finals in 2 days as well for Wim Peters in 124. Won the final last night and wins again this afternoon. He had 2 finals in 2 days over Easter as well. Won the final here last time on Easter Sunday, and then on Easter Monday he won the final at Venray. So he's pretty much unstoppable at the moment. Wim Peters, the reigning world and national points champion in 124.
Daarvoor wachten we de foto's van de toekomst nog even omhoog. Ja, zo. De foto's. Ja, prima gedaan. Prettige V3, 2, Michael en Wim als eerste. Nou, heren, nog even een rondje. Op die El Camino. En dames en heren, gaan wij zo meteen het slotspektakel hier meekrijgen. Natuurlijk al het slotspektakel is bijna niet van te krijgen aan het eind van de dag op de Kerkenrace. Dat gaat er ook allemaal nog gebeuren. Zover is het niet zometeen de eerste grote finale van de Formule 1 natuurlijk. De landingsklasse hier, die mag op de King of Dirt doen. Vorig jaar was het Ron Krant, dus zou hij er weer bij zitten. We zullen het zometeen meemaken. Hij heeft dat allemaal niet twee leuke dagen, want veel weg gaat rond. Maar ja, je weet het nooit, het gaat allemaal in die finale gebeuren natuurlijk. We zullen het zien, zometeen 20 rondes gaan rijden.
There is Willie Peters there, looking on. As I said during the course of the commentary of that one, they are the only father and son pairing of world champions in Brisker Formula 2 stock car racing. Willie taking his title at Northampton in 2005, and of course Wim last year at Mildenhall. And in all truth and honesty, where would Brisker Formula 2 stock car racing be without the Peters family? They have been instrumental way back in the early 90s and the late 90s, when Willie purchased a lot of cars in England, brought them over to Holland, sold them on. And that certainly helped Formula 2 stock car racing on the tarmac, because there wasn't much dirt Formula 2 stock car racing then. But it's from those small acorns do things grow. And I think the Formula 2 stock cars do owe an awful lot to Willie Peters. And now the question is, of course, what do they do about Wim Peters? Because he's pretty much unstoppable at the moment. Successfully defends the King of Dirt. Here you can see on screen Wim Peters, double national points champion in the Netherlands, reigning world champion, and he successfully defends his trophy here. Second and thirds, Michael Schutter and Patrick Testeg. 3 names that are going to play a part in the World Final in September, I would have thought. I would be very, very surprised if they don't. And it would not be a surprise if one of these three that you see on your screen now takes the gold back with them to the Netherlands, because it is, as you've seen watching today, just how strong and competitive Formula 2 stock car racing is here, particularly on the dirt tracks. And that's not to say that, of course, the UK contingent aren't competitive, because the shale scene in the Formula 2 stock cars is actually a bit of a reverse to the Formula 1s, whereas it's very strong on the tarmac for the Formula 1s at the moment. That's not to say that the shale's weak. For instance, there's 50-plus cars at Kings Lynn on Saturday for a World Qualifier there, but it is very strong on the tarmac. But they've got their World Final on the tarmac this year. It comes at Ipswich. The shale scene in the Formula 2 stock cars is very, very strong. And it'd be interesting to see what sort of grid that is, because to get to Kingston, of course, they've got to go through the semi-finals at Cowdenbeath. Not the guys that you see on screen. They get through their own qualifying procedure. And, of course, even if Wim Peters doesn't qualify through his own point system, which he will, obviously, but let's just, for argument's sake, say if he didn't, he would be able to start at the back of the grid in any case. Two more to come here at Blauwhuis this afternoon. All day I've been saying we're going to be on air in the UK until 7, but of course we're on air in the UK until 5 PM. I'm good with words rather than numbers. It's 6 o'clock that we come off air here in the UK, and it's 5 here in Holland. See, I'm still getting confused. Here in the Netherlands, Central European time, and we come off air at 5 PM in the UK. Much the same as in the Formula 2s, the Formula 1s will come out in a grid with the points scored in their 4 heats. Here they come in their grid order, and just as we saw in the Formula 2 stock cars, it is a UK pole sitter with Danny Wayman in 212. But look who's on his outside. What an impressive day he has had. Jan Kuin in 699. Dirk Groydinus in 29. Danny van Wamelen in 47. 215 Albert Sikmar, and 44 of Gos Hoekstra. Bova Arden Hiddinger in 17 also there. For those of you looking in the UK, looking on in the UK, see if there's others. Yes, Craig Finnegan is some way towards the back. On the penultimate row, actually, for Craig Finnegan in 55. Very good evening for Craig last night. Won the final, but will be pushing it to win this final, but of course he's on the grid, so anything can happen. And taking up the last position or bringing the trophy back, but taking up the last position, presumably as the defending title holder, Ron Krunder in 217. So you just see him flash past there on the screen. Looking there at the grid. There we are, there's Ron Krunder going around the outside. He's got the trophy on the car. So last year's winner, Ron Krunder in 217.
Ja, zeker dames en heren. De heren ronden nog even deze van de Roekhouden.
Ja, ook.
Hij is 2 dagen op weg, maar hij heeft een topcoureur van Nederland natuurlijk. 30 jaar rijdt hier al op de Nederlandse banen. Onder deze naam de 217. We zullen zien.
That's the trophy they're racing for, as Ron Krunder takes his place right at the back as the defending title holder of this one. A defending title holder's right to do so. So Danny Wayman in 212. When I was interviewed earlier on the local television, I said Danny Wayman could be a winner.
2017, King of Birds, wie gaan we worden? Drivers, start your engine!
So the infamous call, the mighty roar of the Formula One stock cars. The culmination of 2 days of racing here in the north of Holland. Blauwhuis for the Kingsbattle meeting. We had King's Night last night, racing under the floodlights. The Formula One stock cars were absolutely an awesome sight around here under the floodlights. And can Danny Wayman in 212 bring this back to the UK? Just 2 Brits in this one, we'll emphasise if you are watching in the UK. Danny Wayman in 212, Craig Finnegan in 55, both effectively at either end of the grid. Under starters orders, green flag is down, and the King of Dirts is underway for 2017. Danny Wayman leads into the first corner then in 212. Sent wide though by Dirk Kalodinus in 29. And look at the white grader bounding in with the bumper. 699, really up there for it. Jan Kewen in 699, and he's in the lead. Roydius in second, Wayman down to third. Then we go back to 151, 228 and 61. As they all go bounding round. So far, so good. All that started are still circulating. Wayman then cleverly bides his time there. Let 699 and 29 get on with it, but we have a problem there on the back straight. It looks like we've lost 61 of Coet Maris. So yellow flags out and showing. Of course, in the interests of safety, because if he stayed there, it could trigger off an even bigger crash. It may be 161, sorry, of Tom Maris that went. Yes, it was 161 of Tom Maris that spun. Of course, both the Maris's cars looking relatively similar. The yellow flag actually caused, completely obscure from my commentary position, but this rollover there, that was what the yellow flag was all about. So apologies about missing that. With 53 having spun of Stefan de Jong. So the cameras didn't pick that up. And from actually where I'm stood, I can't actually see that part of the track. So missed that one. So second rollover of the afternoon. Good to see he's all out of the car, all okay though. Stefan de Jong in 53. The aerofoil looking a bit battered and bruised, but otherwise the car looks like it's largely okay. To see if one of the other cameras can, see if our producers can find that on a replay. As you can see, very, very big crowd here at Blauwhuis this afternoon. Many people here to enjoy the stock car racing, but also looking forward to the caravan race, which is the only other race remaining now here this afternoon. So Danny Wayman in 2-1-2 leads off the restart, still very early on into this final. That plucky white grader, not going to be white for long, as I've said so many other times this afternoon. Jan Kuin in 6.99, Dirk Glorius in at 29, and Marco Falconer in 1.51. They are the top four as Danny Wayman leads them off then for the resumption in this feature race this afternoon for the Formula 1 stock cars. Craig Finnegan won the final last night. Can the two Brits here this afternoon, or this week even? Still both of the finals. Problems at the end of the home straight for 591. He does get out of the way. There is a ditch between those tyres and the centre, as 591 has just found to his cost. But he is out of the racing line, so the race should be able to continue. Danny getting away here in 2-1-2. Big battle for second with 29, 2-8, and then back to 2-2-6. So Dirk Grenadius in 29, dropping back to third, with Peter van der Lest in 2-2-6 coming through as well, and 2-2-8 of Jan-Rolf Wegenbar. So 2-2-6, just as I said, Jan van der Lest was coming through. Oh, a 6-9, oh, is now further crashing here. It's all coming to grief. Big mayhem on the home straight. We now lose 26. Of Jan van der Lest, and it is back to yellow flags with cars everywhere here on the home straight. It looks pretty serene on the screen on the back straight, but yellow flags out and showing, as you can see. Danny Wayman still our leader, but they all went crashing and spinning. Peter van der Lest in 2-2-6 went around. There's Rick Roberts, earlier heat winner in 14 on screen. So Jan Kuin in 6.99 was involved in that as well. And 26, Jan van der Lest here at the home straight on screen there. One definitely not to be discounted in this one, the 2-2-8. So not a good day for the Marises. We lost Tom Maris, and now we've definitely lost Cohen Maris. So the Maris brothers out of this one. So a lot of those that crashed were those that were inside the top 10 at that last restart. Jan van der Lest in 26. The plucky white grader Jan Kuin in 6.99. And Marco Falconer just being cradled off there in 1.51. So Danny Wayman in 2-1-2 has got to do it all again, but now popping up into 4th place with all of these early yellow flags is Craig Finnegan in 55. So Danny Wayman in 2-1-2, he is our race leader. 2-8, 29 and 55, that's those that are doing the following. So can Craig Finnegan make it 2 finals in 2 days? Not gone so well for him in the 2 heats, ended up right towards the back of the pack, but he's made the most of all the early crashing in this final and is up there in 4th place. So Danny Wayman leading them off in 2-1-2. And we're back to green. Jan Welling-Bar in 2-8, chasing after Danny Wayman in 2-1-2. Dirk Glorious in 29 there for 3rd. Craig Finnegan for 4th. And the yellow grader hanging on in there for 5th place, Albert Sycamore. So I think Wayman's going to have to do everything he knows here to keep 2-8 at bay. And 55 of Craig Finnegan, who's come storming through from the back, and Wayman goes wide. And Jan Welling-Bar takes it up. Wayman there for 2nd, Finnegan for 3rd in 55. There they are on screen, 2-8, 2-1-2 and 55. And the Dutchman fending off 2 Englishmen now. Dirk Grenadius there for 4th place. Then we go further back to 152, who's running up next, Gert-Jan Klok. We saw him win a heat earlier on, but still with 2-8, 2-1-2 and 55. Craig Finnegan has made far and away the most progress in this race, and the car has gone better as the track has dried out. It happened the same yesterday evening, and we see it now. And Craig Finnegan then looks to the outside of Danny Wayman in 2-1-2. He's going to have to use the bumper on his fellow countryman to get up on the inside. So great stuff there from Craig Finnegan in 55. He went to the outside, moved to the inside, and now he chases after the race leader of 2-8. So 2-8, Jan Welling-Bar. Side by side for 2nd between Danny Wayman 2-1-2, Craig Finnegan 55. The 2 Englishmen could potentially hold up their own progress here as Wayman comes back at Finnegan. And this is allowing 2-8 to get away. Dirk Grenadius in 29 is not out of this one either. He's just behind Craig Finnegan there in 4th, but here we are with 2-8. In the sunshine, going down the back straights with the lead. That battle there for 2nd place between Finnegan and Wayman. Finnegan now back into 2nd. Oh, there's a little bit of time lost for 2-8. Just didn't find the grip on the exit of turn 4 there, and that has allowed Craig Finnegan to get in terms. And Wayman now fallen back into the clutches of Dirk Grenadius in 29. Indeed, 29 now moves through into that 3rd place. Wayman falling back in 2-1-2. And 55 is within striking distance now of 2-8. Can we see in the Formula 1s, as we saw in the Formula 2s, there was I predicting that Craig Finnegan would have to go some to make it 2 finals in 2 days. He's now right in with contention to do so. We're inside the lap boards here in this Formula 1 Stock Cars King of Dirt final on King's Day, the King's Battle 2017. And it's a matter of finding that grip, I think, and now 2-8 did find that grip and has now stretched clear, and Dirk Grenadius, and all of a sudden Craig Finnegan has fallen right back, and 2-8 of Jan Welling-Bar with the last lap is heading for victory here. Dirk Grenadius has moved through into 2nd. Craig Finnegan back to 3rd. Ron Krunder is now right with Danny Wayman further back as well. But inside the final turn for the last time, the English challenge, but it is going to be a Dutch win And he celebrates across the line, 2:8. Jan Roloff Bar, he takes it. Dirk Grenadius is second in 29. Craig Finnegan, nevertheless, what a drive that was for third in 55. Danny Wayman through for fourth, and it looked like Ron Krunder made it through for fifth. So very well done there to the Dutch star. A not unexpected win. He is one of the top Dutch dirt drivers. And very popular around this track as well. My Dutch colleagues in the commentary booth next door and the local TV presenters look very, very happy with that one. And well, they might, because even on your home track, to beat the likes of Craig Finnegan and Danny Wayman takes some doing. And he was mighty happy, as you can see, as he crossed the line there. Love to see the air punching. So great scenes on the track, as you can see. So Jan Roloff, Wellingbar, Craig Finnegan, Dirk Nordius, Danny Wayman and Ron Krunder. Great drives from the back of the grid there from both Finnegan and Krunder. I mean, yes, there was a couple of early yellow flags, but nevertheless, they still had to overtake an awful lot of cars to get in contention there. Of course, as we've seen so many times when they come over, of course, as recently as last September, in the Friday night at Coventry, an entire Dutch meeting with a lot of the guys that we see here, or have seen here, at Blauwhuis this afternoon, taking part in that. Of course, the Friday night meeting isn't actually happening this year. Just wasn't able to... The host promoters, Speedworth, were not able to agree with the local council to have the meeting on the Friday, so that unfortunately isn't happening. So it is just the one-day World Final with the World Masters the next day at Northampton. It would be good to see a good Dutch contingent take over. There will be Dutch drivers there, of course there will. But it's whether or not they can be as competitive on the tarmac as we have seen them in the past, or as we see them on the shale tracks.
Congratulations, my friends. Third place for you. Wel, veel door voorman die zeker ook met de tweede plaats. Derde keer van harte gefeliciteerd, de top hier. Dat was de bommen. Kringelde 2017. Hij heeft het op de rechtlijst. Really hard, want I was hoping to be at home on the record in the area. As I know, as a new man, we won op de foto met het team. Hij staat er gelijk.
Just dipping into the Dutch PA there for you, if you can hear that. We don't have the cameras down to see the presentation as we did earlier on. But Jan Roloff sat firmly on the throne down there, complete with his King's outfit on, all adding to the fun here on King's Day, the King's Battle. Now for the sport of stock car racing, of course that was brought out live. So you would have seen the live stream, but that was brought out live on the local television as well. It's been quite some time since a live stock car meeting anywhere was shown live on the actual TV. And I think that was a great race to come out live. And indeed the Formula 2 race as well, all the races, but certainly that Formula 1 stock car final there. Great battle. And I think it's gone down very, very well that one of the home favourites has taken the title, particularly with two of the biggest names in British stock car racing here, from two of the most famous families as well in British stock cars. Of course, the Wayman family, the Finnegans, that's as stock car royalty as you almost get. As you can see, the 1, 2, 3 in the Formula 1 feature final are now coming round on their lap of honour. It's a home Fryslan win in the King's Battle, so the locals will love all of this. And Jan Reluf is going to milk every moment of this. He was very, very happy as he crossed the line, and there was lots of scenes of jubilation as well from his crew, which we love to see. Here he is on screen, on his lap of honour. I think you can hear the reaction of the crowd. That's the Fryslan flag that he's got there, just in case you are wondering. Second and third just coming past. Dirk Grenadius in 29. And a great 2 days of racing for Craig Finnegan in 55. Of course, Craig and Danny, they will now head back to the UK. They're both booked to appear at King's Lynn in just 48 hours' time. And that's where I am on Saturday evening as well. Looking forward to that. Formula 1 Stock Cars World Championship qualifier, Saloon Stock Cars English Championship. So if you are heading to the Adrian Flux Arena, and we'll see you there. Caravans coming out on track for this last event of this 2 days here at Blauwhuis. And this is the one that actually has been doing the promo for the event. And I think, and after all that, he pulls it off. I was going to say, I think that is something to do with the local TV station as well. So we're underway for the caravan race. Of course, the rules are, well, you know the rules. If you follow the sport in the UK, you will know that goodness me, as the caravans fly everywhere, once a car gets detached from at least the trailer, then it's game over for them. But a huge mess, and we've got one up on its roof. In fact, we might have even more than one up on its roof. As another one ploughs in down on the other side. So that's all happening at the other end. We bring them under the yellow flags. Well, as one does plough in under the yellow flags, a little bit naughty, but nevertheless it is a fun event. So they've gone to red now, because there is a huge pile of bits down there. There we are, there's a good shot of it. Not much left. A great big mess and a bang, really, for the caravans. It's what they can sort out from here on in and what is left for... Because it is due to be a race. It is a proper race. Alex Spania there in 366. He's still got this, still permissible. That's enough to keep it going. That will be why, but we don't want to get this going as quickly as we can. Just trying to pick some cars out of the carnage. That's what's happening down at the other end of the track. But if we do disappear, thank you very much for watching. It's been relatively groundbreaking stuff, this. With stock car racing returning to live television and the live internet stream as well. And where we go from here, well, we will see. We'll talk and see what happens next, both here in the Netherlands and also in the UK as well. But it looks like we have got the track relatively clear. down at the other end. Cars are being moved forward. So if we can get going, we shall do so.
Nou, hier de coureurs, we kunnen weer. Medewerkers aan de wintertrein, iemand er op de baan. We gaan nog even de laatste caravan splatten rijden hier. Omrop Fryslan caravan moet er ook nog even aan.
So we've gone straight back to green. We're back underway with this caravan race. The last one of the 2 days of racing here at Blauwhuis. Now surely someone's going to go through this caravan on the home straight. They'll make it round turns 3 and 4. Indeed they do. Not too much though. I don't think the Butcher in 105, Harmer Butcher, he didn't have enough speed up. Quite often a caravan race will come down to the very last car moving. It becomes a de facto DD. Which is pretty much what is happening here. So Alex Spanier in 3.66 made it across the ditch. Unfortunately for the Butcher in 1.05, he's got nothing, he's just the car, so he's just going to drive through the caravan over there for the... In fact, he's gone into the caravan and stopped. So that's put a stop to 105. In fact, 105 put a stop to himself. So our sound cameras are actually picking up someone revving from somewhere. I think it's down in that pile up. Okay, and it is going to be declared then to the green one there. Vader has taken that one. We've reached 6 o'clock, so they called time on that one. 2:13. Simon Bilsimar in 2:13. There we go, that is it then. That concludes our live stream from Blauwhuis here this afternoon. Thank you for watching, whether you've been in the Netherlands. There's certainly been a fair few in the UK watching. Cheeky you on a work day, but thank you very much for watching. I say, we'll see what happens from here on in. But from all of us on the live stream, this is Steve Linfield. I'll see you again in the UK at the weekend. Thanks again for watching.